I'd like to call to order the City Council work session for April 6, 2026, called to order at 6:02. Madam Clerk, would you do us a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Sauter,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller, Councilmember A. Dixon,
Here.
Councilmember Messick, Councilmember Kearney,
Present.
Councilmember C. Dixon,
Here.
Councilmember Fox.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you so very much. Council, there's there's an agenda before us. I do have some changes, and I'll entertain any additional changes to the agenda. We'd like to strike, under new business, item E. We also like to strike item I, council to consider approval of an invoice for America 250. And I'll renumber everything based on whether we're gonna add anything to the agenda. Madam Clerk, were there any other additions?
No, ma'am.
I was wondering, like, what's that?
Not at this time.
Okay. Council on this side, any additions?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I did want to add the the Runsboro GA 5K to the agenda, the JYCG resolution protocol.
Anything else?
The community social.
Community social? You got some details on that?
And this is just adding that to the agenda if necessary for the community social.
The community what?
The community stroll social for the street closure.
It's not on, is it on the agenda? Did we
That's
receive
the-
that application? We never received the application, so it can't be on. Ms. Scott didn't turn in the application for the street closure? Chief, anybody?
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, so we can't add it without the application.
Okay.
All right, any other things? I'll renumber everything. Anybody else additions? Additions, Councilwoman Messick?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add a discussion of our budget bill.
Discussion on page, JK. Okay. Any other additions on this way? Now I'm gonna renumber everything? Okay, cool. So what I did was item E will now be a discussion of 5K, JYCG 5K, that's number E. That keeps us from numbering everything off.
And that's the Runsboro GA.
Runsboro?
Runsboro GA 5K.
Okay. Item I now is JYCG proclamation protocol. Am I saying it correctly?
Correct.
Correct. And then we'll add item K under new business budget book. Did everybody follow along with that? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve with said changes.
Motion to approve with the agenda.
Motion to approve? Any other discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Any opposition? Thank you so very much.
Can you clarify who made the motion?
The motion came from Madam Pro Tem,
Thank you.
second by Councilwoman Messick.
All right.
Madam Clerk, next on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we'll have Mayor's presentation, none. Presentations, proclamation recognizing National Black Bookstore Day.
How's everybody doing today? April 7th, which is actually tomorrow, is National Black Bookstore Day. It's a national, I'm gonna stand right here, a national initiative. And we actually get to acknowledge one of my longtime, well, I'm one of your longtime patrons from Nubian Bookstore. Whereas Black storytellers, scholars, and entrepreneurs have played a vital role in shaping American culture by preserving and sharing knowledge through literature and community institutions, Whereas Black-owned bookstores have long served as important spaces for education, cultural expression, civic dialogue, and economic development, helping to amplify Black voices and preserve stories that might otherwise go unheard. And whereas, despite their cultural importance, Black-owned bookstores represent less than 8% of all bookstores in the United States, though renewed community investment has contributed to its resurgence, with more than 300 Black-owned bookstores operating nationwide today. Whereas Georgia Mother Rose West, founder of Underground Books in Sacramento, California, inspired the establishment of the National Black Bookstore Day, a national observance honoring the legacy and impact of Black-owned bookstores. Whereas the National Association of Black Bookstores, NAB2, which if you are a member, founded on Juneteenth in 2025, works to promote literacy, amplify Black voices, and strengthen the sustainability and visibility of Black-owned bookstores across the country. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Dr. Danya L. Sarter, Mayor of the City of Jonesboro, as well as the Mayor Pro Tem and City Council, do hereby proclaim April 7th, tomorrow, 2026, and every April 7th thereafter, as National Black Bookstore Day, and encourage residents to celebrate and support Black-owned bookstores and the vital role they play in preserving culture, fostering literacy, and strengthening communities. In witness whereof, I set my hand and cause this proclamation to be recognized the 6th day of April. As observance continues to take shape, it reflects a renewed commitment to investing in literacy, supporting Black-owned businesses, and strengthening the cultural fabric of our communities. These bookstores are more than retail spaces. They are community anchors and inspire learning, dialogue, and opportunity. Nubian Bookstore is actually located in Clayton County in Morrow, next to TJ Maxx. I see them all the time when I go by there. So thank you so much. I think you've been in business
27 years.
27 years. So you want to talk about, just say briefly your story, your name, and how long you've been part of the organization?
My name is Marcus Williams. I'm the owner of Nubian Bookstore. I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. I came down here in 1994 to attend Morehouse College, majoring in business. And while I was in college, I used to shop at Madu Bookstore, which recently closed in Greenbrier Mall. And one day the owner just asked me would I like to work at a bookstore. And I told her that I would, and after working there for 2 years, I kind of liked the whole bookstore business and decided that's something that I want to do. So I dropped out of college, borrowed some money from my parents, opened up Nubian Bookstore February 5th of 99 in South Lake Mall. I used to be on the top floor right in front of Sears. So I was there from 99 until 2013. And then I decided to move out the mall to get a bigger location with more visibility. So I found the spot next door to TJ Maxx, and I moved over there, and I was able to cut my rent in half and triple my sales. So it was a good business decision. So I've been serving the Clayton County community for 27 years, and I just renewed my lease for another 7 years. So I'll be here for a while. So if anybody needs any books or anything, feel free to come by, and I'll give you a discount. I appreciate you. Yes, ma'am. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Now we'll have public comment. We have one person for public comment. That's Linda Wins, please.
Hello, I'm Linda Wins. I believe I addressed you last month about a tree situation on my property. And I received a note from the mayor, and I would like to read it to you. I wanted to let you know that your concerns were heard, and I will assure you that it is being addressed. I expect professionalism from all my employees, and I do appreciate that note, and I thought it was very nice. I wrote all of you a letter, and I'm going to read it to you tonight and then give you a copy. Dear Mayor and Council, my objective in being here tonight is to have written assurance to be given to Toby Spire's tree service. I usually talk loud. You all heard that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. My objective in being here tonight is to have written assurance to be given to Toby Spire's tree service and to me that the tree cutting job at 213 Lee Street can go ahead without any further delay from the city. In 2021, I attempted to have trees cut down. 2 days into the project, I was shut down. Figured this was a fluke. It's year 2021. In 2026, I'm taking down another huge tree, and 2 days into the project, I get stopped again. We had paperwork and permits ready. So I just want you to remember, I really need assurance in writing from you all that this is not going to happen again. We've had 2 tries, okay? And I want you to know that I have all the paperwork in order, as I always have. And here is your letters. Do I give that to you? Thank you so much. I love my city. I want to work here. I want to live here. I do not want people to tell me they don't want to come here because they get poor reception. And I appreciate you all. And I'm going to rally everybody I know to start coming to the meetings, because apathy is when things do not help a city. Our city people work hard. I was a former city councilwoman. I know what you go through. We also have another one that was here. We know what you go through. So I'd like to support you, and I'm going to get my neighbors to rally and come, because you have to know you have support. But I have to know that my city council people aren't going to shut me down every time I try to improve my property. I know we're running short. How many of you went by to see my lovely tree on the corner of Huey and Lee Street? Nobody? It is huge, and it is still up.
Well, I walk past there, so I see it all the time. So.
It's enormous. And I understand that Mr. Spires doesn't want to come back to the city to do anything. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda.
Old business, council to discuss updated information regarding the forensic audit.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, please.
members of council, I sent good evening, everybody. I sent correspondence to you all a few days ago to your vendor with Plant Moran, the contact person, Michelle McHale. And if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. If you need me to sort of summarize it publicly, I can summarize where we are now, what's the will of the body.
Would you please summarize publicly?
So the last council meeting, you all made a vote to pay the invoice in the amount of $45,000. That was for phases 2 and 3 of the for this project. There are a total, I believe, of 5 phases, maybe 4 and 5. So at that time, when you all said pay the $45,000, we had conversations about the lack of an itemized billing, but recognizing that you all wanted to get this project completed, you all authorized to pay it. And then there was additional direction from this council that said find out when they can come and present it, when we can get it. And then there was Councilman Alfred Dixon made this point of, and how much is left? Or after we pay this $45,000, how much will be left that the city will owe? And so I went and had several back and forth emails with the vendor about coming in person, and about when is the final report going to get done? When are we going to have, when the council wants a draft report? I got word back, yes, I have the draft report and ready for the final report, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you pay the $45,000, which I understood. And I said, well, how much is the city going to owe after that? And they said, well, the city won't owe any more than the $20,000 retainer that was paid. So for the public, the city paid $15,000 initially for phase 1, and then paid a $20,000 retainer. That means that Plant Moran is currently holding $35,000 of the city's money. And with the payment of the $45,000 invoice, that would have taken the total compensation for them up to over $80,000. The agreement that was done last year said that anything over $65,000 will have to be requested and given to them in writing. So they would have to come to the city attorney and then say, hey, we need to go over, and this is why. And then the city attorney will say, okay, you can go over the 65. Well, that has never been done. That wasn't done with my predecessor. I checked, and it wasn't, and they certainly haven't asked me to go over 65. And so the email, the letter that I sent and sent to you all said, okay, listen, the city is eagerly waiting for this project to be completed. I don't have the authority to give you $15,000 over your $65,000 contractual threshold because you've not requested it, nor have I given you that permission. So in order to keep the city within the contractual threshold limits, the city owes you $29,080 since you said you were gonna keep the city's $20,000 retainer. So when they told me that they were gonna keep the $20,000 retainer, that means they have $35,000, there's another $29,000 that the city is owed to them, and that's their contractual limit. Unless they ask for more in writing and explain why they need more, which has not happened. So that's where we are now. Madam Mayor, I'm not sure if the $29,000 was sent or not, but that was in the letter that I sent to you all. I hope that's my update, and I'll be happy to answer any
So
questions.
the 29,000 hasn't been sent because we wanted to present that before council.
Oh.
And then I felt like we needed an invoice for the 29,000, or do you want me to just send her the 29,000?
So the invoice that was sent, the $45,000 is the phase 3 invoice. They don't have to, under the contract, the agreement, the written report, even the draft written report, does not have to be completed until phase 4. So phases 1 through 3, we get no physical deliverables. And so before we can get to phase 4, which is the physical deliverable that everyone has been waiting for, this body wants to see and hear, we need to pay them for phase 3 work. The rub that existed from the time of the last council meeting until tonight is that they told us they were going to keep your $20,000 retainer. So if you credit the retainer to the $45,000 invoice, that means that the city really owes $25,000 since they're going to keep the retainer. Under the contract, the retainer is meant for overages if they go over, and I'm assuming if they needed to go over the $65,000 threshold and they put her in a request to the city attorney and explain why they had extra things to look at or something else happened. I don't know, I can't imagine, but that request has never been made. So right now, in order to get them a flat $65,000, the amount that the city should pay is $29,080. And if you add the $29,080 plus the $20,000 retainer, plus the $15,000 you've already paid for phase 1, that gives you a grand total of $65,000, which is the contractual threshold limit. I've not heard back from them to explain or to request why they will be entitled to an additional $15,000. That's what it would take. If we pay the $45,000, just pay that. That means they're going to get paid over $80,000, which is $15,000 above the contractual threshold without getting the approved permission. I know my predecessor had it in there whereby, he would give that permission, but, I wouldn't feel comfortable giving the permission to go over $15,000. I don't have that comfortability. I would bring that request back to this body, and y'all would have to tell me it's okay to pay them an extra $15,000. So that's where we are. The mayor said that the $29,080 has not been sent yet because we wanted to get with you all and get this body's directive.
And I also want to clarify this. I had Attorney Wiley to ask her because they told us, and I want you to use your exact words, what else needs to be done? She said, everything is finished, the draft. So if everything was finished, then I was asking, well, then we got $20,000 that can be deducted if there's nothing else to do. And so her words to her was like, we're finished, I have the draft. But until y'all pay us $45,000, we're not gonna give you the draft, but then there's nothing else to do. So where's the $20,000 going that you kind of have like, $20,000 should be deducted from the last bill. And she has said repeatedly, everything is done. They don't need any additional paperwork from us. She has the draft ready. So I have a problem giving them $20,000 and there's no additional work to be done. Which is why I think she has not asked for an increase, because there is no additional work to be done.
What we did not know at the last month's meeting, council, is that they were gonna retain the $20,000 retainer. So when you all came and said, the $45,000 invoice is outstanding, pay that. We didn't know the retainer could
I was
come
gonna
back to
subtract the
us.
retainer from that.
Right, but we didn't know that they were gonna retain the retainer until maybe a week or so ago. And then when they said that, and then I started doing the math, and I was like, that's gonna put you, if you're gonna keep the retainer, that means you're gonna get a total of $80,000 without any explanation as to why you get that extra money, which is what the contract says. You can get extra, but you have to get in writing and explain why you're entitled to extra money. And if you also remember that y'all reduced the scope of the work because you all removed grants at the last meeting. So they have a reduced scope of work. And if they want to get the extra money, they need to put that in writing and say why they believe that they should go up to $80,000. And I don't have that yet. And as I indicated, if I'm provided that between now and the next week's meeting, I'm going to bring that back to you all to approve. I'm not comfortable authorizing them to go beyond the $65,000. I would want this body to instruct me, give me permission to do that.
Thank you. I know that was a lot. I think I saw Councilwoman Fox.
Yes, thank you so much. I have a couple of questions because I know last meeting we approved the $45 to make payments so that they can kind of move on to the next phase. Unless I read the contract correctly, it did state, or I read it in an email or the contract, that the $20,000 would be applied to the final invoice. So I'm just a little confused as to like where is the confusion coming from, because if the $20,000 is going to be applied to the final invoice, but we're not at the final invoice yet, we're still in between the phases, and we as a body approved the $45,000 invoice, why are we still going back and forth? They have not received the payment of the $45,000
No,
yet?
because
No.
we asked her what is left to be done, and her words were, everything is done, the draft is done, ready to give to her. So if there's no additional work, then then this is their final bill. And I think we did ask her to provide the final bill. I asked her several times to provide a projected final bill, and
Madam
say nothing.
Mayor, and to answer your question, when y'all left, y'all said pay the $45,000. Ask them when they can come. We'll have a special call meeting, right? They only have to wait till April. Y'all said, find out how much is left for them to do, what our final cost will be. Those were the three things that you all gave in that directive. So I went, it's in the email, the city council has approved the invoice. They want to know when you can come. They'll have a special meeting. Can you come before April 3rd? Yes, I was asking them to come before April 3rd. Have a special call meeting, and they want to know how much money is going to be, they're going to be on the hook for to complete this project. And the response that I got was, we're busy, we're in trials and things of that nature, and so I had to ask a couple of times, how much money is the city going to owe at the end of the project? That was one of the directives, that was one of the queries y'all told me to bring back to you all. And that's when she said, we're gonna keep the $20,000 retainer, so you won't owe us anything else after that. So we're not at the final stage, you're right, but they've determined that, although they haven't tallied up the final cost, they said, we're gonna keep the $20,000 retainer to be applied to the final costs that have yet to be determined. So, in order for the city to stay within the contractual limit and not to give them an extra $15,000, because if we pay them the $45,000 and they're gonna keep the 20, that means they will get $65,000 plus the 15 that you already paid. That's over $80,000. Now, if y'all say, let's pay them $80,000, then we'll do it. But that's not what the contract said. The contract says that they will have a $65,000 cap, and if they go over 65, then they will talk to the city attorney. They will get written approval from the city attorney to go beyond go beyond 65,000. And they have not done that. So what I was trying to do in the letter I sent was trying to make the city make them whole in terms of, if you're gonna keep the $20,000, then we don't owe you, the city doesn't owe you 45 because we'll go over the $65,000 threshold. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. Am I answering your question, Councilwoman Fox?
It does.
Or you still have some?
It does. It's, contracts is my thing, right?
Okay,
So,
okay.
Because I read the contract, and it was, for me, it was transparent. So 85 is not foreign as far as, that's not the first time that I've seen the number added up. As I read the contract, that's what I gathered. That's the conclusion that I came to. So I guess what I'm confused about is, as a body, if we voted to pay the 45,000, why is the invoice not paid yet?
Because when you voted, you did not know that they were going to retain the $20,000 retainer. That came after the fact. So after the fact, they told me that we're going to keep your $20,000. That after the fact information took them $15,000 over their contractual threshold.
Okay.
And so knowing that we were going to meet again, they have not provided me, the contract says they have to provide a request for going over 65. They have to provide a request, and get written authorization to go over 65. They've never provided, let me say for an example, so when they said they're going to keep the $20,000 retainer, they didn't provide a written explanation as to this is why we're going to keep the retainer, whatever, and it's going to take us up to 80 grand. They didn't say that at all. And so with trying to make, keep them having the opportunity to get paid the 45, but still make the city not be on the hook for anything above 65 without the proper written authorization, it wasn't paid. And it was just it was the after the fact information that we received that they were gonna keep your $20,000 retainer without a finalized bill.
And so let me also just say this, because I'm the one ultimately, you all approved to pay $45,000. But we also said that the question would be, what else is left? So we would know. She said nothing else is left. So I said, okay, we're going to subtract the $20,000 retainer fee because we have that and they're not going to use it. She clearly said the draft is done. So I took the $20,000 from the $45,000, which would be the $25,000, and then she tells the attorney something there about, well, unless we get the whole $40,000, I'm going to hold the draft. Is that a good paraphrase?
Yeah, she just said she's not gonna come nor, now, I didn't do it that way, Madam Mayor. I understand the way you did yours. In my head, I just wanted to know how much more are y'all gonna need from the city in order to fulfill this project? And that's when they told me they were gonna keep the 20. And I added it all up and it came to $80,000. And they're not entitled to $80,000 unless they get written authorization to go above 65.
But
So if you all want to pay them $80,000 without them giving the written authorization that was required by the contract, then I would need the board the council to say that. Otherwise, I didn't have the authority to give them, I didn't have the authority to say, go up to $80,000 on this contract. When the contract says you got a $65,000 cap, anything above $65,000 has to be written approved. We got to request it, and it has to be written authorization saying why you're going over it. And I don't have that excess information.
But I have the authority to say, unless you can tell me what the $20,000 is going to be used for, I am going to deduct it. Because if we give her $45,000, then when we going to get our 20? She's going to make up $20,000 worth of work after she's already told us there's nothing left to do. The draft is ready. I'm just not going to give it to you until I give y'all $45,000. But then you holding $20,000. So and basically we give them $40,000, and then she already said, I'm not going to give you the $20,000 back. That'll go toward, what did she say? She said that'll go toward, don't worry about it, $20,000 will handle it. No, no, that's not how it works.
She said that the final costs had not been tallied, but the $20,000 retainer should cover it. But
she also said everything is done. You can't have a draft ready.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, you can't have a draft ready. I mean, she said it. She said everything's ready. The draft is ready. But until y'all give me $45,000, I'm not going to give you the draft. So now she got us in the chokehold because we can give her $45,000, but think of it like this: we actually give them the $65,000 because she's not going to turn around and say, "Here, y'all $20,000 back."
So if you pay the 45, and with this new information that they're going to retain your $20,000 retainer, they're gonna retain your $20,000 retainer, it would take them over the up to $80,000, which is $15,000 above the contractual threshold. And let me also say that the contract, the agreement, you know, hindsight, you know, I hate the Monday morning quarterback, but the agreement doesn't require them. It says they have to come and present this in person. It doesn't say when. It doesn't say, I mean, there's an implication that they're going to present and bring it in a reasonable time after the completion, but it's not in that contract. And so when I say, well, can you come down? When can you come down? They're busy. They don't really have to. They can come whenever they want to. Now, I did put in the last letter, y'all saw that we want you to come next week. Come on the 13th and present the report. The contract says they present the findings to the city attorney and then they release it to you all. Well, if they present it to me, I'm giving it to you all. I'm not going to be the arbiter of that. Y'all get to see it. Y'all are the governing authority. But I haven't heard back yet, you know, and I just sent that maybe Thursday, I think Wednesday or Thursday, whenever y'all got it. And hopefully I'll hear back something soon and we'll know if they can come. But I did relay the message that the council will have a special call meeting. It's that important. They really want to get this project completed and move on.
Mayor?
That's the update.
All right, so I got a couple questions. My first question is, are they legally able to do all of this per the contract that we have with them? Like, are they legally able to go over the 80,000 since we said 80,000 in all and say, oh, well, the retainer fee is outside of that 80,000? Legally, can they do that?
We never said 80,000, did we?
So, no, I think you meant 65. So yeah, 65 is the cap.
Okay.
It can go up to, so the contract said anywhere between 65 and 95, and it may go over. And when I initially talked to them, she gave me a figure that I added up to be over 100. So the contract says they have a $65,000 cap, and they said we'll do everything we'll do everything we can to stay within $65,000. If we cannot stay within $65,000 before we go over it, we will contact the city attorney and ask for permission and get written authorization to go above that. That's the contract. So, but if we come and look at the $45,000 invoice and they say they're gonna keep the $20,000 retainer and they have $15,000 already that you all paid for phase one, that's a total of $80,000. $15,000 above the contract. So no, they cannot unilaterally do that, and I can't unilaterally authorize them to go over 65 because they haven't asked for it, nor have they given the written authorization. So you all say to me, well, Attorney Wiley, why did you approve them to go over? And I wouldn't have anything to tell you because they didn't ask me, they didn't tell me what it was. And so that's where we are. So to answer your question is no, they do not have the unilateral authority to go above $65,000.
So it sounds like they're in breach of the contract that they have with us, and I could be speaking or overstepping here. I'm just wondering. So if that's the case, what's our next step? Like, do we sue them? Because I still do want the findings of this report. Like, that hasn't gone away. But I also don't want us to be scammed with, you know, spending more money than what we had to per our contract.
So I wouldn't declare them in breach. I understand that's a question to ask. I would not, as your lawyer, declare them in breach. I would say though that there is a legitimate concern on our side about the excess $15,000, and without information. And I'm hoping that they will act in good faith, like the city will do. City gets you to 65. Then give us the report. Give the city the report because you agreed to 65 as your threshold unless you got permission to go over it. And they've not asked for permission to go over. And so I think they're indirectly doing what they can't do directly because you can't directly go to 80. So but by asking for a $45,000 invoice and by saying you're gonna keep the retainer, they are indirectly going over 65. They're indirectly getting there. And I wouldn't call that in breach, but I just, you know how the young folks say they tried it. So I think they tried it. See, I knew Councilman Dixon would like that for the young people. They tried it, but, no, we can't do that.
And
It's my position.
I want to reiterate that if they told us what the 20,000 was going to be for, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I have asked them over and over again, give us the final bill. What is left to be done? And they cannot answer that question. I mean, I can't be any simpler, well, not me, but I've asked Attorney Wiley, because for the record, I have not spoken to Plant Moran. But I asked them, tell us what $20,000 is, what it's for. Is it $20,000 worth of copies? It's gonna cost you $20,000 to come here. If the draft is ready, what else is $20,000? And don't forget now, we took some of the workload away when we took away grants. So we should kind of have a little credit on the flip end.
Okay, Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman
So
Kirkman. I
what
see you
is
down
the
there.
next? Okay, so what are our options here? I'm trying to figure out what's the next step, what can we do? Because if we have to take it as far as we need to take it to make sure that, the taxpayer money is being used effectively, efficiently, what are our options here?
I would recommend that you pay get them up to $65,000, since they're going to keep $29,080. I think is the amount that would get them. The entire contract will be paid $65,000, nothing more, nothing less. The city will have more than fulfilled its obligations, paying the $65,000. If anything more if they're wanting anything above that, then the onus would be on them then to say, well, this is why we need more than 65. But if you pay the 65, if you get them up to 65, then we move to phase 4. Phase 4 is where the deliverable requirement kicks in. They don't have any deliverable requirements 1 through 3. And so all they have is a verbal, we can talk verbally and tell you verbally what's going on, but there's no deliverable until phase 4. So that would be my recommendation, and of course it's up to this legislative body to make that final call. Madam Mayor, you have a hand.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Give me a second. Okay. Councilwoman Fox.
Okay, so I have the contract pulled up. So it does clearly, okay, so it says that it will range between $65,000 and $95,000. As you stated, if the cost exceeds $65,000, then they would need written approval. In the contract, it says we require a retainer of $20,000 before starting work. The retainer will be applied to our final invoice for this engagement. We don't quite have the final invoice yet because, as you said, there's about 5 phases to the work. And when she comes and present, we don't even know if we're going to act as a body to have her extend the scope of work depending on what the findings are. So technically, we're not at the final stages yet. So, while I understand the $20,000 retainer, to be applied, we can't apply something where we're not at the final stage yet.
Well, they said they've already
They
applied
said they
it. That's
were-
the issue, is that they told me that they're going to keep the retainer. That's why we're here. They said, we have decided, we haven't tallied up the final cost, but the $20,000 will cover it. So they said they made a claim on your $20,000 retainer. And I agree with you, the retainer is not for future allocation of work. That's what I said in my letter. But in the interest of getting this thing resolved and getting to the finished product, okay, you're gonna use the retainer, but you still are subject to $65,000 cap. If you pay the $45,000 now, and they've told you that they're gonna keep your $20,000, you will be giving them $80,000. And if you wanna give them $80,000, then that's what y'all have to do. They've already told us they're gonna keep $20,000. They're already gonna keep it.
And we keep forgetting that they've also told us, we've done the draft. And if we choose to re-engage them, then we can do them definitely up under another contract, but not up under this one because it's so faulty anyway. It'd be different if she was saying, well, we still got to do this. I still want to interview this. She said, we got a draft. We ready. I just need my money. So the $20,000 that they're keeping, we're at the end. So it's kind of like 4 and 5 phases are kind of merged together. And then you're also, the contract is a little different, it's ambiguous. So when we had our regular audit, he didn't get paid until the final product was here. We gave him a certain amount, but when he left out here, what did he jokingly say, can I get paid now? They're not doing that in good faith. So now it's all been squabbled up. So I think it takes a measure of good faith on our part and good faith on theirs. And I'm going to say for the record, I don't feel as though they have deliberated in good faith.
And let me just say, so I won't go, I'm not gonna make those.
I made 'em.
Thank you.
I made
know
'em.
you did, ma'am.
Those
Well,
words were from the mayor, not from the attorney.
I will say
Disclosure.
though, I will say that we've been calling this a forensic audit, and the contract says it's not an audit. It's forensic, it's analytical services. So it's really not an audit. In fact, it disclaims being an audit. So when it all comes down to what they're gonna present to y'all, it's not an audit. It says it in the rider to the contract.
Can we read that part out loud so they'll
I don't
know?
have it.
That's important to
But
know. Yeah,
I
we
know
paid
that's
all
what
this money and it's not even a forensic audit. It's
We're
a
colloquially-
financial analysis.
It's a financial.
$65,000 for them to analyze something.
Well-
Or we paid somebody $45,000. It's not even an audit. We can't even call it an audit.
The reason
So
I
if I
brought,
find out somebody stole some money, I can't even call it an audit.
the reason I brought that up is because the mayor made a reference to the city's audit, and it made me realize that I remember. I said, okay, but this, we're calling it colloquially. We're saying this is a forensic audit. The contract says it's something else, and it says it expressly disclaims the fact that it's an audit. So with that disclaimer, there are things that they don't have to do or they're not required to do in terms of auditing practices. Now, I don't know if they're gonna do them anyway, but I just wanted to make that point. So it's really the ball's in, if y'all wanna go, they're gonna keep the 20, they've told me that. I mean, she sent me that in an email. And so that's the difference. And I understand what you're saying. And had she not told me they were gonna keep the $20,000 retainer, I would agree with you. But she said they're gonna keep it.
Mayor, may I speak?
Yeah, hold on one second. I want to get Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, go ahead.
I guess, because, and technically, we haven't been operating in good faith either because we have not paid them the $45 invoice. In fact, we're way past due, probably about 3 months past due on the 40, because they asked for it in December. So if they're stating that they're gonna keep the $20,000 retainer fee, is it possible that they're stating that because we are 3 months behind on that invoice?
No, it's not. And the reason I know that's not why they're saying that is because I told them, the city said we'll pay the 45. The city wants to know how much is left for this engagement, and the city wants to know when can you come to present it. They said, wonderful, we can get there when we can get there. We're gonna keep your $20,000 for as far as what's left to do. We've decided that the $20,000 retainer, so you won't have any additional money. So saying that just put a different analytical framework for me when they said they're gonna keep the $20,000 retainer. And let's assume if it was going to go, and I won't say that the city's been acting in bad faith either, because I've seen some of the, I know there were requests for itemized invoices, and that was a basis. I think there may have been, right or wrong, but there's a good faith basis for asking them for itemization of their invoices. But let's assume that they didn't tell me that they were going to keep the $20,000 retainer. We paid the $45,000. And then that would have given them, if we paid $45,000 plus the 15, they would be at 60 grand because we paid 15. That would have left a $20,000 retainer out there, right? We paid $15,000 for phase 1. We pay $45,000 for phase 2 and 3. That would have been a total of $60,000 payment that the city made with a $20,000 retainer out there. Under the contract, they would be entitled to $5,000 more of that retainer to get to 65. And then they would have to explain and get in writing why they should get more than $5,000 of that retainer. They would have to give written requests and authorization for keeping the entire retainer. And so that's not what they said they were gonna do. They've already predetermined they're gonna keep the $20,000 retainer. And if we pay them the 45, it's going to bring it up to $80,000. So that's how I look at it. But if you look at the way the retainer is supposed to be, it's supposed to be held for the last little bit of work, but they still would have been capped. They would have been capped at $5,000 because if we've paid 60, they can only get $5,000. They only had $5,000 left that they could get from the retainer, and then we would get 15. The city would get $15,000 back. But they said they're going to keep the whole 20. So therein lies the difference. Their use of the retainer. I think is what's kind of throwing you off, but they're not. They just said they're gonna keep it for the work to be completed.
This is a reputable company, Attorney Wiley. They're doing business with other people. Again, I don't know the tone in which the email that was forwarded to us just seemed like they're professional. It doesn't appear that they would operate unethically, you know what I mean? Especially if they're a risk assessment type company. I'm not sure where the confusion is, but I do feel like there is a little bit of confusion. I would like to just simplify it, and as Councilwoman Kearney says, what can we do to open up lines of communication and move forward with this?
I think the attorney has already advised that we pay $29,000 to get them to $65,000. That was her recommendation. That's mine, give or take $4,000 or $5,000. I was just like, deduct 20. Also, I want us to keep in mind too, this is the same company, and I'm not saying they're not reputable, but in their engagement agreement, it said they would charge us an average fee of $300. However, the calculation that they provided was at a much higher rate for all 91 hours. So at some point, we gotta be, I hope y'all look at y'all invoices, like when people come do stuff at y'all house. You look at like what they supposed, and that's what I'm doing. I'm being a good steward of looking at things. I thought the average rate was 30-something. I immediately told you when I got it, when she said 91 hours, I was like, 91 times 300 don't equal $45,000. And then she said, oh, we charge everything at a higher rate. Well, the contract said we will charge at a blended rate of $300. 91 times 300 gets you $27,000. Their 91 times 500 got us to $45,000. So again, there's just a lot of questions that I feel like, as the CEO of the city, that I have a right to question, and I would hope that citizens would appreciate that. If the contract says a blended rate of 300, and they told us they worked 91 hours, you do the math, and it doesn't come up to $45,000. So they already got a leeway there. So y'all saying, pay them the $45,000, let them change the rate, charge us whatever you want to. No, the contract said a blended rate of 300. So that should be 300 times 91. Go ahead, yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead. Thank you.
You? Okay, okay. Just a few questions. Let's see. My first question, and I pray you don't take any offense, I don't mean any. I just want to make sure that nothing slipped through the conversations with Attorney Dreyer. I just want to make sure you have all of those, because I know there's a lot of back and forth, and they were asking for additional money. He brought it up to us several times, and none of those requests would count as them giving reasoning for going over.
No, none of the, I've read all the emails. I think I have all of them. But none of those emails agreed to where he agreed for them to go beyond the 65. Now the agreement, there was addendums. It's not the most perfect. You have to look in different places and put things together. But on that provision alone, it says you have to provide written authorization to go above 65. And so I would have hoped, though, that if I did miss something, Mayor Pro Tem, that Plant Moran, being an accounting firm, would say, hey, no, we got permission from David Dreyer on November 15th to go an extra $25,000 over the, and then I wouldn't be here. But they haven't said that. They didn't tell me that. And I haven't seen that in all the emails that I've read. And I've read a whole bunch of emails. And really and Councilwoman Fox, the email started when it came about for the itemization on the $45,000. That's what I saw my predecessor asking them for, and when I got here in January, I took the baton and continued to make that request, and they pushed back. So we're trying to move forward in good faith now, for everybody to get, because you all deserve and the public deserves to get to get this project completed, so y'all can know what to do and to see how your money was spent. But if this body wants to authorize them to get $80,000 by paying the 45, knowing that they're going to keep your retainer, then that's something y'all will have to vote on. Because I don't feel comfortable making that decision based upon the contract that gives me that authority. I just would ask y'all to make that determination.
Okay, a couple more questions. With the statements being everything is ready, there's nothing else to do, and then as far as the retainer, I've heard we're keeping the retainer and 20,000 should cover it. What exactly was because 20,000 should cover it it's ambiguous, right? It leaves a lot of room. And then is there any way that maybe they have an idea or a boilerplate type of process where they know exactly what the final cost of phase 4 and phase 5 might be, how much they might charge to come out, and that's what they're already kind of foreseeing, like this is just how we wrap up everybody and it's usually about this much money? Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to read exactly what's said in here. I said, she wanted to address each of my statements. I said, the city is still awaiting a response for the draft report. When are we going to get the draft report? She said, yes, it's ready. The draft has not been reviewed by me for it to be released and will not be released until payment is received, given the significant time that has passed since the invoice was sent to the city. Number 2, I said, City Council wants information regarding the final anticipated costs. She says, it has not been tallied yet, but the retainer previously paid by the city will cover those costs. In other words, no additional costs will be incurred by the city. Number 3, I asked for specific dates of availability for appearing before mayor and council before April 3rd, 2026. She said, because she said that she couldn't make it, but she was going to send the city one of her representatives or her partner. She said, I would check the senior manager's schedule to see if he's able to present before the April 13th meeting. She said, I believe you have a typo. So that was it.
Okay, last question. Sorry. The contract, does it have any language about response time? You were able to curate this letter, send it to her, and send it to us. You still haven't received a response. Even if we pay the $29,000, we don't know if a response will come from that. So is there any language in there that says, like, you have to respond to, correspondence or anything in a professional time span or within set amount of hours or days?
No, the contract doesn't say anything like that, nor does it say when they have to come. And so we were hoping that, we could just work out something that was mutually agreeable. We wanted them to come to a city council meeting, and I think you all were gracious enough to say, hey, we'll even have a special call meeting if they can't make it on one of our. And so I'm hopeful that that's still the case, that we can work on getting them here. Someone mentioned the tone of I've been surprised by the tones, and I think I told you all 2 meetings ago that the vendor said they read something in a news article and made some assumptions and sent an email to y'all. I think that reading something in a news article about something that may or may not have been said that was not verified without watching the meeting probably contributed to something, and I would say that didn't. So that's when I noticed the tone changing, because they read something in the newspaper article that nobody here had read prior to them making that comment.
Okay. So I don't even necessarily mean them coming here, right?
Oh, you mean no, there's nothing in there, no. There's nothing that say you have so many days to respond. How many days has passed
since you sent that letter to them prior to you sending it to
them? I just sent that letter to them, y'all, last week. I sent that letter on Friday, actually. I sent it on Friday. I wrote it Thursday, but I sent it Friday.
Okay. I didn't know if you sent it to them before you sent it to us.
No, I sent it on the same day.
Okay. Those are my questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Anyone else over here? Councilwoman.
So in the contract, I'm reading it verbatimly. It says we require a retainer of $20,000 before starting work. The retainer will be applied to our final invoice for the engagement. If the retainer exceeds the amount of our final invoice, we will refund the difference to you at that time. In the event that periodic invoices are not paid timely, we will apply the retainer to the amount owing of such invoice and any related late charges, and we will stop work until the retainer is replenished to the full amount required. If the retainer is not replenished within 10 days after the application of the retainer to unpaid balances, we reserve the right to suspend services or terminate this engagement in accordance with the provisions of this agreement. Attorney Wiley, from what you just read, the tone, again, now I understand where the confusion is coming from. We we're bringing the confusion, and here's why I say that. The tone in what you just read in the email states that they're owed $45,000. We're about 3 to 4 months past due on that invoice, and according to the contract, she has the right to take that $20,000 retainer and apply it to any unpaid services.
Well, if she does that, then she doesn't get an entire $45,000 payment, which is our point. There's no confusion. We're not bringing the confusion.
65,000. Also, let me be clear.
So-
It's not three, I want to clear for the public ready. It's not 3 or 4 months. When she originally gave it to us, we questioned it because it did not align. So go find the part that says how much they're supposed to charge us an hour. 300, was it 300 or 350?
It said they would charge us a blended hourly rate of $300.
She calculated, she gave us a bill. Now, y'all talking about forensic audit, this is how we're gonna get one. If the bill says 45,000 for 91 hours, and I multiply 91 hours by 350 and get 27,000, why would I pay a $45,000 bill? That's like if a plumber comes here and says, I fixed your toilet, I charged y'all $10 an hour, I did it for 2 hours, and then the bill is $600. Something's not mathing. I'm not gonna pay it. I'm gonna question the plumber.
But you remember, she did say that she apologized for putting that in there because she understood.
But you can't apologize for something that's in there.
That created confusion. She did say that. So I just want to be sure, Councilwoman Fox, the confusion, if they're going to apply the $20,000 retainer to the $45,000 invoice, as you stated, then that means we don't owe them $45,000. We only owe them $25,000. But in order to get them to 65, if we pay an additional $4,080, which is $29,080, then the city will have paid the entire $65,000. So, do you still, I mean, we're not.
Madam Attorney, appreciate you. What we're not gonna do is selectively choose and put us as the bad guys. So let's look at all parts of you can't apologize and say, oh, I shouldn't have put that in the contract. You said $350 an hour. You told us 91 hours. 91 hours at if I divided 45,000 by 350, that's actually 128 hours. They said they only worked 91, and then when we asked them to itemize it, she just fixed it up and then gave us a discount so it hit on 45,000. Y'all, come on now. I know y'all trying. I know it's personal here, but let's be right. And I'm still gonna stand on what I'm standing on. Don't send me an invoice that should be hourly rate should be multiplied by 350 and act like I'm gonna pay you when you don't come back and explain to me why this math is not mathing. $45,000 divided by 350 is 128 hours. The invoice said 91 hours. Why would I pay them? So some of this delay in payment is their attitude to come back and say, oh, I probably shouldn't have put that in the engagement agreement. You can't change the rate of pay from engagement agreement. That's what you put, a blended rate. And I remember the record shows where I asked them, is it gonna be what rate? We can't decide whether it's gonna be your senior rate, your junior rate, or your executive assistant rate. What is the rate? We're making this personal again. That's how we get in trouble. I can't wait for this report to come out, but I'm not gonna throw money at somebody that is not justifiable. If they want, we should pay them up to $65,000. If they want more than that, they should have to come here and say, this is why we need more money. It's that simple, y'all. It's that simple.
Yeah. Mayor?
Yes.
And that's what's in the contract, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I know earlier, people were talking about, I'm just wanting to stay to the black and white about, thoughts and feelings about if they're reputable or not. But I just want to know, from any either personal experience or public experience, are they reputable? Like, do they have anything that's out there that's negative tied to them as a business?
We got a reference from another city that wasn't pleased with their service, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
But this is not an audit, so we can't even hold them to standard auditing procedures, so I don't even know what we're gonna get. But I would entertain a motion at this particular point to pay up to $65,000 in the amount of $29,500, and for them to come back and requisition anything beyond that.
So made.
Any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
okay. I was listening to what Councilwoman Fox was saying, and it does say in the contract that they can use the retainer if we're late, and we are late, on an invoice that they have sent, and that retainer has to be replenished. Did it not say that?
That's exactly what it said.
So that if they use that retainer, to go toward the invoice, we're gonna have to replenish the retainer, even if they turn around and write us the whole check back, if we're sticking to this invoice.
Not
that's
if they
written.
go over $65,000.
I'm
Not if they
sorry.
go over $65,000. Their cap is 65,
Yes,
with or
ma'am.
without the
Yes.
retainer.
I-
Y'all agreed to a $65,000 cap.
Yeah, yes.
So, hold on,
So what I'm gonna, what
would
I
you-
would really like to do, since you just sent this letter on Friday, is I would like to have her respond first. And maybe there is some confusion, as Councilwoman Fox said, into how this retainer, she said the retainer would be applied, but she didn't say the whole retainer. She didn't say, but she also didn't say only part of the retainer would be applied. So I really would like us to give her an opportunity to respond to your letter, since it was just sent on Good Friday. She may have not, many people didn't work Friday. So she may have not been in the office and may have just got that in her inbox today. I would really like to give her that opportunity to reply.
Okay, there's a motion on,
Before we make a decision on what to do next. I mean, that's just my
Opinion.
opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Agree.
And I feel like if we're gonna do that, then let's go back to this $350 rate. Y'all are picking and choosing what part of the contract. Y'all don't care that they charged us more than what the contract said they were supposed to charge? The contract says a blended rate of $350, and they charged us $500. Do y'all care about that? Yes.
What I would like to do is stay focused on, as Councilwoman Kearney Messick stated, let's just go back, give them an opportunity to respond. A lot of people didn't even go to work today, Easter Monday, and then go forth from there. Pay them, we already voted, so what happens to the vote that we publicly took to pay the invoice of $45,000? Is that null and void? Because what I would like to do is get that invoice paid.
No, your vote is not null and void. We had new information, and I believe that they want to keep the $20,000 retainer, and it will bring them up to $80,000. $15,000 above the contractual cap. If y'all wanted to say they go be above the contract, if we pay them the 45, they cannot keep the whole 20. They can only keep $5,000 of that retainer, but they haven't told, that's not what I understood them to
The contract says that
say.
they will refund any remaining balance. It says that in the contract.
But they can't charge you all anything above $65,000. I don't care whether they apply the retainer or not. If they're gonna apply the $20,000 retainer for a late invoice, then they can't get an additional 45 grand on top of the 15 y'all have already paid. That gives them $15,000 above the contracted amount.
So
They
the
don't get to do
contract
that.
says they can't go over $65,000. I don't understand how we gotta explain anymore. We can't go over $65,000 unless they come back and say why we're going over $65,000. They have not done that. But they also said they weren't gonna charge us for $350 an hour, and they charged us $500. So we can't pick and choose. The whole thing is just messed up. There's a motion on the floor, it's been appropriately second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any, all opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I'll send them a check for $29,000. All right, next on the agenda.
Council to discuss Jonesboro Education Trust Jet Pilot Program Initiative.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to give everyone a quick update on the Jonesboro Education Trust Pilot Program. We've made a lot of great progress. Right now, we are awaiting the finalized MOU. In the meantime, I have provided some documents for review, just so that we can all stay informed and ready to move when the MOU comes back. And I just wanted to, give my thanks to everyone here for your patience as we get it right. And I'll continue to keep y'all updated.
And I have this information. Is that what was provided in the packet, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing that's not in the packet right now is the MOU.
All right, and how are we doing with raising the money?
Just getting people interested. We'll have our first meeting coming up here at the end of April.
Okay, thank you so much.
And Madam Mayor, they have indicated that their legal department is looking over the MOU too. So Councilman Alfred Dixon has been very instrumental in moving this forward.
And
That's where it is.
that's what we're waiting on, just for that one to come back? Is that what we're waiting on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kearney?
All right, I'm allowed to talk now, like, is it discussion, or do we have to vote on this, or?
No, there's
we're
no
good?
vote required, so there's, you can
Okay,
do
cool.
discussion. Thank you.
All right, so, I was just looking over the program, I just wanna know, where the changes that, you know, we talked about the last time and I sent to you, are those like implemented in this document?
Right.
Okay, cool. So I see, I think it's on the two-pager where it says that the city of Jonesboro, I just want you to please expound upon the role of the city of Jonesboro, when it comes to the JET program. It says that we serve as the convener and steward of the program, coordinate partnerships and facilitate engagement opportunities. And it goes on to say, by providing structure and leadership, the city enables philanthropic and corporate investment in Jonesboro's youth. So I'm just trying to figure out what the application of that is and who's doing that work. And is it a specific staff member, or is it just you as the leader? I'm just trying to understand it.
Yeah, gotcha. Great question. Like I said, the role of the city of Jonesboro is pretty much just to champion the program. This is something that we take, you know, in our communities, outside of our communities. It's our flagship program, you know, to try to bring in those people that are interested in pouring into our youth.
Okay. And I think we're all in support of it. I'm just wondering, so to me, coordinate partnerships is a verb, so I'm assuming somebody is doing that. So, or are all of us doing it as city council? I'm just trying to understand.
I mean, that's an opportunity that we all can take. Excuse me. So, for example, you know, if we're at the, let's say, Chamber Gala, and, you know, we see one of our good friends over there from Georgia Power, you know, it'd be a great opportunity to let them know what we have going on in the city of Jonesboro and to see if they'll be interested in supporting this initiative.
Okay, so it sounds like it's more of a like optional, like recommendation thing. I'm just wondering because is there somebody, if this doesn't get done and it just, you know, happens, is there an accountability piece in this, or
Like if what doesn't get done?
like the coordination of the partnerships? Like if there isn't someone to do that or make sure it's done and to facilitate the engagement opportunities, like, and it says somebody provides structure and leadership, like with this, you know, program. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, so are you speaking, what part are you speaking into regardless, the civic engagement piece of it?
So
Financial literacy piece of it?
Yeah, the role of the city of Jonesboro specifically on the two-pager, I believe. It was on page 12, you say?
12 on the bottom, correct?
Yeah. Well, it was actually on the two-pager. Let me see where the two-pager is. Oh, okay, yeah, so page 6, I see it there. It's that entire paragraph under role of the city of Jonesboro. Now, I'm assuming it's probably inside of the document that Mayor Pro Tem just spoke about as well, because I think that's the overall document. So that's why I'm asking that question.
Gotcha. So I see, while the city does not directly fund individual accounts, it plays a vital role in facilitating partnerships between schools, community organizations, sponsors, and families, coordinating civic engagement opportunities. Are you speaking of like that piece in particular? Who coordinates the civic engagement opportunities?
Go back, yeah, who's the person that does that, the role of the city of Jonesboro part? But the part you spoke about as well, who coordinates that piece as well?
So if you go back to page 5, this will be, and this is, like I said, a screenshot. Again, it's a piece of clay on the table that could be molded still. But these will be the civic engagement opportunities.
Right, and I have a couple more questions. So even with that, I see you have a timeline. Okay. So I see you have a timeline for when this stuff is supposed to happen. So I'm wondering, because it says it's going to be ready pretty much by this next upcoming school year. So are you on track to have that happen by August?
On track, as long as we can get the MOU back in just a timely manner. We're pushing for next Monday. But we're right on track.
Okay. So when it comes to these different events,
who is the person that's gonna be taking, I guess, role for them? Is there gonna be a role to make sure whoever is there to get the, engagement incentives? Like, who's in charge of that? Is it?
Yeah, there'll be a whole tracking piece. So like I said, when we spoke about out of the $40,000 budget, there's $5,000 that is reserved for evaluation reporting, which is that tracking piece to make sure that we're all on board. So out of the $40,000, $5,000 is reserved for the tracking, and the reporting.
Okay, so
That would either be done by a CPA, but of course, we would love to have staff involvement, like we talked about last time. That's what other cities do, but that'll be reserved for a CPA to make sure that we track all the things.
Okay, so on the jet baking operations sheet, I think it's number 3, if I'm not mistaken. It specifically says the city verifies verification. So I'm wondering who with the city does that and who keeps those records? Like,
Which page you on?
so it's on the sheet that says the banking operations. Let's see. Okay, yeah, page 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the one that says incentive verification. It says the city of Jonesboro verifies civic participation before incentive deposits are issued. Verified participation events may include community service, civic meetings, financial literacy workshops, and youth leadership programs. So I'm wondering who is doing that.
Right, so this will either be the staff that'll be dedicated, to this, or the CPA firm that we hire to track this information.
Okay, do you have an idea of who on staff you would like to do that?
We talked about that last time, and that would be up to the mayor's discretion.
Okay.
I thought we were hiring a CPA firm.
We did, but we spoke about, could that be used for staff that would want to be involved in it? You said that there may be somebody that would be interested. So I said,
But, yeah, I mean, it would to handle administrative, but not the CPA finance part. I mean, definitely we would allocate somebody like to bookkeeping and, all of that. Yes, we would.
Okay. And then I think it's gonna be on page 12 and maybe 13 of the overall JET document. It says it's managed through Safeguard, so the city of Jonesboro is continuing discussions with financial institutions. I thought that we had those financial institutions identified, so I'm just wondering, is there, looks like that's an update, so.
yeah, so this document right here, the one that starts on page 10, that's the same document that I just included. That's the same document from last month that I just included in this packet. We are pretty much in the final stages, still waiting on that MOU with Truist Bank as well.
Okay,
So yeah, Truist is our partner.
okay. All right, thank you.
So we'll get the MOU approved from them, we'll get their feedback, we'll present it before council, council approve the MOU. Yes,
Mayor,
yes,
I had some questions.
sure.
Okay. So I wanted to ask concerning the spending, and you touched on some of it. Thank you, Councilwoman Kearney. You asked about half my questions. So when I'm looking over the numbers, especially with the spending for the pilot program.
Microphone, I'm sorry, can you stay in the
Oh,
microphone?
I'm sorry. When, can you hear me now? Okay. When I'm looking over the numbers, especially for the pilot program, it looks like over 50% of that money that you're saying to start up this program is going to be spent not on the kids, but it's going to be spent on directing the program.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. There was some confusion, in regards to those funds, and I wanted to, just bring clarity. So this pilot budget snapshot is $40,000, and y'all stop me if I need to slow down.
No, I see it, thank you.
So this budget snapshot is $40,000. 35,000 of this $40,000 is going directly, to the student. Does everyone understand that, or does everyone see that?
No, because, I'm sorry, Councilman Dixon, it says that the student seed deposits are $2,500 for $100 per student for the 25 students. And then the civic engagement funds, which would be donated through corporate sponsors, is $12,500. Everything else listed on here goes to pay, I'm sorry, this is on page 15 of the program. Everything else on here goes to management of the accounts.
And I think the 7,500 maybe toward the end, that goes to the children.
And that was another question I
think
had.
it does.
What is the 7,500 in reserve? And these are very general numbers. Do you have like a statement from the CPA on what they're gonna charge annually to manage this? How they're gonna handle it as it grows? And also, what type of accounts are these that you're working with Truist to get? Are they investment accounts? Are they, there has to be, for them to grow, you know, money doesn't just, hopefully just sit there. We wanted some type of interest on this to help build this if this is the direction it's going. But however, to do that, we need a certified planner or a CPA that's gonna be able to do that to make sure that this money is secured.
Now, great questions. So Truist Bank, our partner, these will be interest-bearing accounts. Like I said, the student seed deposits, $2,500, that's directly to the student. Civic engagement incentives, that will be directly to the student. Workshops, family engagement at $7,500, which we are working with our banking partners to get that waived as well. Those workshops and family engagement sessions will be a direct benefit to the students and the families. The milestones and recognitions, that will be a direct benefit to the students.
When you say direct benefit, that's like a deposit to their account?
Correct.
So when they come to them at enrollment mid-year, so that might be a $25 deposit.
Correct. So if we go, as we speak about, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
It's not like for trophies or anything.
It's, as we speak about that, the milestone and recognition, like we go to, and the civic engagement, you know, we go to page number 5. Like this is all per student
Page 5?
for the first year, page 5, which is the Jonesboro Education, the incentives. Mm-hmm. Right.
Correct. So the pilot SNAP, regardless of $40,000, you're not asking for any funds from the city of Jonesboro?
Correct.
Okay. So,
And it's actually no funds from the city of Jonesboro,
except for in-kind staff and stuff like that?
And just for the record, because point of personal privilege, I see Honorable Miss Baker here from the school board. Thank you for being here as well. And no ask from the school board as well for funds.
So just for clarity, the $40,000, which is this pilot budget snapshot, there's no funding for us, so I kind of have we'll just build as we go, and because it's not going to physically impact us, if there's some fluctuations in that would be fine. And my only other question is, and I saw it somewhere in here, the governing body for decisions like determining what we spend on workshops and family engagement, those decisions will rest with who?
Well, what page you on? I'm sorry.
No, just in general, is that going to be spelled out in the MOU coming back from them? So if someone's, okay.
Yes, ma'am. We'll put that in the MOU.
Thank you.
Okay, just spending limits and everything, perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
Great job. Great job. Still things I think that can be put in place, so I appreciate the discussions that we're having. To Councilwoman Kearney's point, as far as the dedicated staff, I think 2 things about it. I think the partnership, when we have interns come from Clayton State, I know that sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. But if we can do that consistently and put that in place as part of your JET program so that you know that you always have someone to pick up that baton, and when one intern leaves, they pass that folder to the next intern so that they can keep count of the certificates of people who come to the financial literacy workshops, or the people who, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that no matter who's sitting at this dais, that's going to continue going. And same thing with the dedicated staff. Whatever you put in place, just make sure that it's tied to the person's title and not the person, right? So if the clerk handles that, and I'm not putting extra work on you, just the first person, right? So if the clerk handles that, then we know that the clerk's office is where these certifications are held, no matter who's sitting in that seat or who's sitting in this seat. So those are just things to throw in there.
Gotcha.
All right, thank you so much.
Any
We
more
appreciate
questions?
that. Looking forward to the MOU coming back. All right, next on the agenda.
New business A, council to discuss alcohol pouring license application 26 ALC 001 to pour beer, wine, and distilled spirits at 7955 Tara Boulevard, Jonesboro, Georgia 30236. The legal business name is Sugar Bush Bar and Grill Sports Bar. Irene Waju has requested to be the licensed representative.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens of Jonesboro. The item before you, the request is from Irene Waju for an alcohol license to pour beer, wine, and spirits at Sugar Bush Bar and Grill located at 7955 Tara Boulevard. The request is for a change in the license holder. The applicant meets all city ordinance requirements, and the background check conducted by the Jonesboro Police Department found no violations or concerns. There are also no prior compliance issues. This is an existing business, and staff does not anticipate any negative impacts on traffic, public safety, or surrounding properties. With that, staff finds this request consistent and would like to recommend approval.
Thank you so very much.
And I'd be happy to take any questions.
And there'll be a hearing next week.
Yes.
Correct. All right, next on the agenda.
Item B, council to discuss variance application 26 VAR 001 submitted by Matt Coveton for properties located at 626 and 294 South Main Street. Parcel number 06032A B002, 06032A B002Z, and 06032A B006, Jonesboro, Georgia 30236, within the mixed-use district and the G Gateway South District. The properties consist of 29.14 plus or minus acres. The request seeks approval to allow encroachment into the required stream buffer to accommodate the proposed development.
Good evening again, Mayor, Council, and citizens of Jonesboro. I would just, before I start the presentation, staff did have a meeting with the applicant following the original staff report in there, so it was an update to the staff report that was also included in the folders. And that will be what's in this presentation. The subject property is on mixed use and is located within the Gateway South Overlay District with a project area of approximately 29.14 plus or minus acres. For context, the applicant previously received a conditional use approval in September of 2024 to allow the proposed development. In February 2026, an updated conditional use permit was approved to incorporate additional parcels into the project design. The development has also received prior variances related to the architectural design and sidewalk requirements. The primary constraint on the property is an existing creek that runs north to south through the site. This feature, along with impervious surface limitations, restricts how the site can be designed and accessed. The applicant is requesting the variance to allow a culvert crossing for vehicle access and extended utilities due to a portion of the site that would not otherwise be inaccessible. An alternative design was provided that avoids impacts to the stream buffer. However, it would reduce the project by approximately 68 dwelling units. Based on the variance criteria, staff recommends approval of the request. While the property does not have unique physical characteristics beyond the creek does create a practical constraint that affects the access and layout. The variance is not needed to allow the use, but rather to accommodate the approved development design. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the applicant's revised site plan. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
And this has to go before a hearing next week?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Madam Mayor, if I may?
Yeah.
So the stream buffer variance that that is before you all under your ordinance will not exempt the applicant from any state or federal stream buffer regulations. So I think any approval that this body does will have to be subject to them also demonstrating that they are in compliance with any other state or federal stream buffer regulations, because this is water, this is EPD, and our ordinance only does not exempt, even if it's varied, does not exempt the applicant, nor do we have the authority to exempt them from other agencies that require certain things. It's sort of mitigation. There might be some mitigation requirements that the state may have. I'm not certain, but I would recommend, and I talked to Ms. Akuta about this before the meeting, that any approval that this body does have that condition on there, that they still have to comply with state or federal regulations, and they have to demonstrate that prior to the issuance of any permit by the city.
Mayor?
Yes.
So
Councilman Messick.
that was right on path on what I was gonna ask. So do we have they had the Army Corps of Engineers out there to evaluate the property and to give their opinion on if this is a doable project? And how are they gonna handle the stormwater situation if they're encroaching on the stream, which is going to affect drainage, not just for this development, but for other areas around it?
Yes, we do have the applicant team present, and that'd be a good question, I think, for them to come up and answer.
Okay.
Just to be clarified, so there is no requirement for the Army of Engineers to come. We have our own.
Right, so in the discussions that we've had so far, the Army Corps of Engineers hasn't come up as far as any reviews, just the,
So that's not a requirement.
correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
So, Madam Mayor, when you're encroaching upon the waters of the U.S., I think that it's a broad language. The federal law, the EPA and the state EPD that administers those federal regulations may require those. The Corps of Engineers requires some. There are requirements.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are for this particular application, but when you're dealing with the waterways of the U.S., and if this is considered a waterway of the U.S., then the Army Corps of Engineers would be something,
So
an
we don't
entity that
use-
would have to approve this too.
Yeah, to my recollection, it wasn't the Army of Engineers. I thought it was
Yeah, the Georgia Soil and Water.
yeah, that's who we go through.
And we're in the Mountain View area district.
Yeah, so I don't know if they'll defer it, but our, who we go to get the initial in alignment with the federal is whatever they just said.
Mayor?
Yes.
I know we used the Army Corps of Engineers when the, this development for our, active adult senior living was going on, because there were some modifications that had to be made, and they
Yeah.
were brought.
I understand that, but the initial line, we don't go straight to them. We go to the,
First, and then.
yes, and if they dictate the need, y'all say it louder for her, the soil and,
Yeah, the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation, they would be first before we
yeah,
take that
and
step
if
to
they
the Army Corps of
determine, then we'll
Engineers.
go to the Army Corps of Engineering.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't like the thought of, getting rid of or cutting off access to an existing, stream of water. And I know, we spoke, or I asked you a couple questions, so they do have a new design, right, that would not encroach upon this stream. And they also wouldn't have to lose 68 units in the big portion of 3-bedroom units, right, or no?
With the new design, yes.
Okay. So I wanted to know, just overall, I'm trying to figure out why they didn't see this prior. So whenever, I don't know if there was an environmental study that happened, or if they're in the planning process, like, or if it happened, or is this a NEPA finding, or I'm just trying to understand.
Hey,
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Evening.
Edric Harris, Presswood Development Company. I think there was a few questions. I'll start with the latter one, and then we can work our way back. Well, I'll start with Georgia Soil and Water Conservation. They have been to the site. Part of, I guess I'll address that, but then as far as the second piece of why didn't we know? Unfortunately, the development process has several layers as we go through different iterations of where we are. First of all, we start off with, hey, is the city even interested in having a workforce housing development? That was kind of step number one. Once we got to that point of being able to present to this board, to the council, we moved forward from there to start refining our drawings and submitting for financing. So no one actually put shovel in ground other than you do phase one environmentals. You see that, there could be some streams, et cetera, as you start the process. But as we work through it, we were awarded funding through Georgia Department of Community Affairs, and that is tied to the number of units. So the reality is if you reduce 68 units from this, the funding goes away. It's done. So as we lay it out, work through the process, we start the permitting process. Of course, there's comments and there's revisions, and any movement of one building changes several things. And as you know, we've kind of been through the process a little bit, and even went back and bought more land, which of course was another kind of strain on the budget. But we've got to the part where I think we've got a great layout. Typically, if you have an area like this, what you do is you put a culvert in, you don't disrupt any of the flow of water. You start doing that, that's when you bring other, the Army Corps out, you bring other groups, because you've changed something, and it could create issues where it's flooding, et cetera. But all the reviewers from the city all the way to state to federal level, they're making sure that we don't do that. And we believe that this set of plans, while it's still going through the review process, meets all the requirements, so there's no significant environmental impact. And as they continue their review, if there's anything that they see that's even minor, they will give us suggestions and recommendations that we have to follow to make sure that we don't adversely affect anything in the area. And as far as the additional, kind of retention and detention, all that will have to be handled on site. First, it goes through your city staff to make sure that the flows are accurate. It doesn't go on other folks' properties. There's already a couple detention facilities there, and then we'll put our own there on site as well. So hopefully all that will be addressed. But again, thanks for the support so far, and just know that this is immensely important to make this happen. And hopefully you only have to see us one more month. If we can get through this, we'll come back to see you next month. And then hopefully a few weeks after that, we'll be at a groundbreaking celebration. So that is the goal, and we look forward to it. And again, thank you for your support.
I have another question.
Sure.
So now that y'all have found a workaround, I know this is something that just, I don't know if it just happened today, or just prior to us having the new information. Is it still required that we vote on this? Is this still at our level now because of some change to the development plan, or, because I'm just trying to understand?
Yes, so they are requesting a stream buffer reduction from us.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, you have the authority to make a decision on this one.
Okay. Can you explain to me why, this stream buffer situation is different than the one that was in the packet? Or if it's different, I'm just wondering. Because I thought it was a covering or something, right, or no?
So, yeah, the bridge, it functions as a bridge, not necessarily a literal bridge. Like, the way they've redesigned the site is function as a bridge. And then prior to this design, it was just, and it may be in the packet with the original staff report, the original design, but it doesn't show this path here.
Okay, so is it a disruption of any kind, or?
So essentially, the culvert is needed to ensure the water flow isn't disrupted, because the goal with the stream buffer is to protect the water quality and reduce any erosion problems, potentially on this site or any other sites.
Okay, so is it mainly just because we're adding something to the stream, because we are manipulating the stream some way?
Right, because you're manipulating the land and everything around it.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. So since you already have that report from the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation, can you get that to us, please?
So we don't have the final report, because as we make revisions, they're finishing up their review. But I think it is a requirement that once it's approved, of course, we can't move forward even if you gave us the approval without the Georgia approval, but we'll make sure we get those reports to you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk. All right.
Item C, council to discuss unused personal leave program.
Maria, I'm gonna try to take a stab at it. So council, we've been trying to, working with HR and department heads to come up with some incentives, and also in lieu of having a comp or a flex policy that we need to work in, we came up with this discussion in regard to unused personal leave. I do want to do a caveat that the attorney also informed me that personal leave, once secured, is theirs. Is that correct? Correct. Yes,
Yes,
so whereas
accrually,
before.
it belongs to the employee, yes.
Correct, and so there was a time where if they didn't give 2 weeks' notice, we didn't pay them out their leave. We can't do that anymore. So their leave, once accrued, is theirs. So what we've positioned before you is a payment for unused leave. It's a pay in lieu of accrued leave, up to a maximum of 80 hours. And it's authorized when an employee is separated from employment by a resignation of 2 weeks. But we're going to change that because it doesn't have to be a two-week notice in order to get that. But what we've decided to do as an incentive, because we have a number of employees that just will not take leave, and rightfully so. I'm not going to call any names. So we do feel like because of the amount of work that has to be done, that it should be able to be utilized as some type of incentive. So what we were proposing at the first quarter of each year, they meet one of the following criteria. They have to be first employed with the City of Jonesboro for 3 to 5, so it's more of a retention bonus and a retainment bonus. And they can cash in up to 40 hours of unused leave, but they have to have 40 hours remaining. So that means they have to have at least a minimum of 80 hours. We looked at some of the numbers, and we have a number of staff members in that 3 to 5 years that have a substantial amount of hours. Any employment with 5 or more years of service, they can do up to 80, again, having a remaining of 80 hours leave. All requests must be submitted to the mayor for final approval. This has typically been the way it has been for years. And when it gets to me for final approval, part of my approval is verification with HR that the hours are met, the years of service are met, and all the requirements are. And then I'm the final sign off on that person after going through the thing. So it'll be a form that they'll complete. I would ask council, is there any questions for this? We've polled a few staff members. They're excited about it. Again, your minimum years of service with the city would have to be 3 years, and we would do this during the first quarter of each year, which allows us to see any savings. And only other thing I thought about adding would be the option to do it third quarter if there is a significant amount of savings available to pay out. Yes.
All right.
And I did pull all your questions, but I couldn't answer them, so I think in regard to the approval, I will be the final approval, but that's only after the form actually includes all the accrued amount as well as verification of their years of service.
Okay. So I'll just ask them now, and then if y'all want to talk about it, if you want to say if you agree or not, or people, So I would like a couple changes made. I am definitely for this program, though. I think it'll be really good for our staff to have. So I'm wondering if instead of provided that the funds are available, I just think we should, that's in the first line in the red, I think we should change it to as determined by the finance director and approved in the adopted budget.
So it's hard to approve in an adopted budget, which is why we said provided the funds are available, because I don't know what people use. And so it's a fluctuating amount. So if we decided to do it during the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, I would get with the finance director. I would see who all is eligible and who all wants to cash in. That would be an amount then, and then she will determine if those funds are available. So we can't really put it in the budget. Well, I wouldn't want to put it in the budget because I don't know if everybody's going to utilize it.
I mean, but if we're going to vote to approve this, I feel like we have to have like a...
Well, no, that's why it says provided that the funds are available. So based on first quarter cost savings, then we'll know if funds are available. Because the funds won't just come from personnel savings, it could come from, or we could say, I'd originally said doing the fourth quarter, because I'll truly see if we have savings at that particular point, and that's why it's always relied on funds available. Now, we can't allocate funds and just say, based on staff that would meet this criteria this year, if everyone did it, then we would have to have this amount in the budget, and I just don't want to tie up budget funds for this, which is why provided that funds are available, and maybe, I think to your point, switching it to a fourth quarter, because we'll know if savings are available then. And then it would always have to come back, because it would be a line item adjustment. We'll have a deadline, they'll all submit, and I would have to bring that amount back to you all holistically to determine where we would move the funding. When I talk to the finance person, it would come from lines that are over or under that we don't project to be used by the end of the year. So it would still ultimately come to you guys in the end.
Well, is that helpful, since when is their use or lose? When is that?
It's at the end of the year, but now they can't lose it.
Okay, so it doesn't matter?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
There was a policy, a soft policy, but I can't find it years ago where a certain amount didn't roll over, but we couldn't find like a resolution or anything. So now we've just been allowing, ever since COVID, I think, just allowing it to roll over.
Okay. All right, so I see the program also relies on, basically future possible funds. So I'm wondering if there's something we can add for it to be either pre-budgeted or a financial cap. So not to exceed this amount or this amount of total hours citywide per fiscal year. Or, I know you said you can't really budget it right now, but is that a thing or no?
I just feel like, again, it should be fourth quarter, provided that funds are available based on employees that would request that amount.
Okay.
And again, they don't have to request 40 hours. They can do up to 40 hours. So somebody might say, I only want to cash in 20 because I want to keep mine because next year I might be having a surgery or something like that. So it's not, and that's why we can't really determine because everyone may not take 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And there, by the time we get there, somebody might not have the 40 hours in reserve that they need to have.
Okay. And I'm just my next question, I'm just gonna say this, pretty honestly. I don't want the mayor to be the only approval on this, so I'm wondering if you can make it more administrative and have like either HR or finance review it for eligibility as well. I don't mind, of course, you being the final approval or the city manager being the final approval.
That's kind of like what I said. Like, when I give final approval, it's after I've gotten the paperwork from HR to verify. So ultimately, I still give final approval, but part of the approval process, so for example, Chief Cato can't say I want to come in 40 hours and I sign off on it. Okay. By the time it gets to me, I will go to HR and say.
I just wanted it in the writing now.
In the what?
In the writing.
Probably won't get there because it's still going to be final approval on me.
I mean, that's fine. The final approval can be on you, but I want to know, can we put like, because the way this reads, it reads that you are pretty much the only and final approval. And
I am.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want you to be.
Well, I mean, but I do that day to day on everything else, though. But we don't have to do it. We can go to the next agenda item because I'm not going to battle that. We'll talk about the staff.
If you don't want to do it, then that's fine. I don't think I'm asking for a lot, but.
All right, next on the agenda.
Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry. I brought it forward, so if I want to take it off the table, I can just take it off the table. All right, next. No, I'm going to have another conversation with the staff to determine a better way to do it. Oh, what, I created it, but what did I want to say? Yes.
okay. I think
The clerk cannot hear y'all.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. In the microphone. I forgot. Thank you.
The, am I on?
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Council.
The only suggestion I had was on item number 2. I just think maybe if they want to cash in, if they've been here 5 or more years and they have 80 hours of unused leave, I think if they just retain 40, I think is better so that it's the same rather than making them retain 80. It's almost like saying you got to keep.
Yeah.
I would rather say they just have to retain 40.
What was our dialogue about that? Because I think I said 42. I think because 40 was only 1 week. I'm okay with that. Yeah, because we had some dialogue. I wanted them to just be able to cash in more, so we can still leave the 40.
Yeah,
we kind of went back and forth on that. So yeah. But I still want them to be able to cash in more. Are y'all okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my only question, and I guess maybe it's the essence of, or the undertone of why you were asking about the budget. If the funds aren't available, then what? Because like I don't want the employees to look forward to being able to do something in the fourth quarter or be able to do it 1 year and then the next year. So like what's in place if the funds aren't available? Do we just tell them third quarter, second quarter, hey, look, guys, this probably won't happen fourth quarter, or like what can we?
No, that's why it's listed as provided the funds are available, so they know going into this, based on their years of service, whether funds are available. We modeled this after other companies that I had looked into. That's where I got this idea from, and it's almost like you don't know if you're getting your bonus until you know how well the company's doing in that quarter, like an incentive or a commission. So some do cash out, pay out, and so you just don't know. You might get it, you might not get it, but it comes, which is, at first I was saying first quarter, but now I'm thinking it should be third quarter. Because recently we said two times a year. Was it? I thought it was 2 times a year. So maybe when I switched it. But it's almost like a company that looks at their earnings and determine whether they're gonna give out bonuses or not. I kind of look at it that way. Because we have to have money there. And it's also an incentive plan because we give the city what we need, but also it makes us look at conservative spend. You know, it's just a number of factors. So it's an incentive based on just funds being there. Just like, do I get a bonus this year? Well, it depends on how we do the first 3 quarters, whether you get it.
And they will be notified. I guess I'm asking because you made mention of like, someone might only spend 20 of their days because they know they're gonna have a surgery next year. So how would they?
And that's what we have to, I think when it comes up, we talked about doing it based on seniority, if funding is available.
Okay.
So there's some other things, and that's why about the mayor's approval, ultimately I would be the one determining, you know, that in all fairness, or coming up with additional policies. But we talked about seniority, determining what funds would be looking. But when we looked at it and looked at the numbers based on the ones, it's really a lot of police officers, some of our salary, a lot of our hourly won't be eligible for it, only because they clock in, so.
So I guess maybe my ask would be, if that could be flushed out, like how that would, if funds are limited, what process will we be utilizing? I understand it's final approval, but that way no one can say, oh, this was cherry picked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let me
It's
think about
in
that.
writing.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, should we do all or none? Should we do it? Because I looked at it, a lot of businesses and companies do all or none. Either everyone that applies for it, all get it, or, so let me think about that and get some other ones. I had thought about seniority, but then the seniority will automatically knock out our 3 to 5 year people. So I think we'll come up, let me get back with my team and collectively figure out what they feel is fair, because I don't think we want to lose this. Gee, you looking at me?
Those 3 to 5 are good about taking their days without saving.
Yes.
To be honest.
They're good at what, Chief? I'm sorry.
They're good about taking their days of leave versus saving those days or banking time. They'll take a 2-week vacation, or they'll be out sick for a whole week, or their child will be out sick for a week. So they use their time up relatively quick, especially the hourly employees.
And then the other thing that we're running into, also why this was important too, because we're short police officers, which means that some officers can't take time. I mean, they can, but not like, they can't, okay, they can. Maria, I see you, Councilwoman Kearney. Maria, were you gonna add to that?
I was just gonna say, it's not intended for anybody to count on.
Can she come to the podium?
Yeah, so it's, come up, Maria.
For the record. Good evening. Our intent was not for anyone to count this as income. Okay, you should not include this in your annual salary.
Mm-hmm.
And there are not that many employees actually, especially with the 3 to 5 that could cash in 80, that have this. There was what I think the chief and I counted. There's approximately 7 employees citywide that have that eligibility. So it was a nicety, not a given.
And
was the
also,
intent.
I forgot to mention that we had this prior, but there was no consistency with it. Like when I first came, like people were just turning in and just getting approved about verifying funds, you know, and it's just, I felt like it wasn't equitable at all. It just, it wasn't, because when I first got here, I was like, what? How y'all, like, did y'all check to see if we got the, no, they was like, nope, I'm going on vacation. I want to turn in my, but then you didn't have none, it just wasn't, it wasn't anything. How long had y'all had that?
There had been, forever, there was that you could not accrue because it doesn't go away. It's not a use it or lose it. Your floating holidays are use it or lose it, but your sick time and your personal leave, which is your accrued vacation, that continues to roll. So it's not a use it or lose it. So there was a provision that you couldn't have more than, at a time, 360 hours.
And then they would cash in the other ones.
And then if you got over that, but then that became a hardship. But then also police officers, especially because they were essential, during the shutdown in 2020, they accrued double hours the council approved for them to, as an incentive, they got double accrual each pay period. So that's how a lot of that grew significantly.
So think of this, thank you, Maria, because sometimes I forget stuff. So think of this as basically a remedy for a policy that existed that really didn't exist, but staff had been utilizing it. And I felt like it needed to be cleaned up because I couldn't find it in writing in a way that it could be used as an incentive structure. I think I saw somebody up here, but I did see it. Yes.
Yes. So a couple more. So it was a comment I wanted to add because this was one of my questions, but I'm glad you, I just want to offer some recommendations. So when it comes to, who can use it and when, I think that first come versus the priority thing could get messy, especially if multiple employees apply, like what Mayor Pro Tem said. So I'm thinking maybe either just leave it as first come, first serve, or I don't know if we can possibly prorate it if the request exceeds whatever our budget is or whatever that amount is, like per employee. I don't know.
First come, first serve? I'm sorry. Could you
It says first come priority, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Where? Because I saw that in your email. I was going to ask you about it. Because I don't think we ever put first come, first serve.
No, I was recommending first come, first serve, but it said, I think I saw it where it said
Seniority.
first come and either priority or seniority, if I'm not mistaken. I can't find it. Okay.
Because it was just those 2 pages, yeah.
You said what?
Was it on the, because it was just those 2 pages.
Yeah, okay. And
So
then
your
my-
recommendation would be, I can't say first come, first serve, because it's all gonna come like,
Okay.
yeah.
And then, my other questions were the employment status criteria possibly. So is it just all employees? Like, do we care if anybody's on like a probationary status or if they're like part-time or anything?
No, I think it's, well, part-time doesn't occur. It's on, so it excludes part-time because part-time doesn't occur leave.
Okay. And then I don't know if we need like misuse protection in here so that people won't cash out their leave and then immediately resign or,
But because it's theirs, they can.
okay.
Because ultimately, we're gonna give it to them if they leave anyway, because we can't keep it.
Okay,
So
so
if they
it
leave,
won't
they're
make an
there.
impact on us?
No, because if they leave the next day and they got 100 hours, I gotta give them 100 hours.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Maria, I'm sorry. Yes, Maria.
Excellent lead in.
Okay.
Keep it up. This all came about as well because
Thank y'all.
we had 3 or 4 officers resign, and we ended up paying them out at the time they left about anywhere from $12,000 to $16,000 in accrued vacation at the time they left. So this would kind of sporadically, perhaps.
Based on savings and keep
Mhm.
that down. Although we're hoping that it keep them
Absolutely.
here.
We don't want anybody to leave,
Yeah.
but, this would perhaps be able to get that down to a more manageable, perhaps, situation if someone did have to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't need to put anything in there saying like prohibit this if they're planning to separate from Jonesboro. It's not necessary, basically, is what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
because they get it anyway.
Okay, and last question. I don't know what type of system we have, if it's either personal or annual or both. I know some companies have personal leave, some have annual, some have both, or like my company, we just have vacation, so we don't even have those terms. So both of these documents, I'm sorry, the document that I see in front of me says both, so that's why I was asking. Like, should it be one term just to maintain consistency, or does it even matter? I'm just wondering.
It's used both ways.
Right, it's secured personal leave.
It's accrued, personal, and
Okay.
annual. It alternates. That's one of the things, but yes, it's the same.
Okay, and,
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's separate.
okay.
That doesn't apply to this at all.
Okay, and then Mayor, you said you are gonna change the quarter that it happens. or
Yeah, I
you
think
still
it will be
about
fourth quarter.
Okay.
Fourth quarter, yes, and it will be changed remaining balance of 40 for the 5 or more years. Was that, Councilwoman Messick? Yes. Item number 2 would change the remaining balance of 40 accrued hours. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and those are things, thank y'all for that, those things that we kind of went back and forth.
Thank you.
You say what? Yeah. Yeah, but I think, hold on one second, leave up to a maximum of 80 hours is authorized when employees are. And so item number 6, Maria and Attorney Wiley, we will look at that part in black, payment for unused leave, pay in lieu of accrued personal leave up to a maximum of 80,000 is authorized when employee is separated. So we need to change that because now, yeah, so she's working on that, changing that to, so when we bring it next year, next week I wasn't asking for the consent, when we bring it next week, we'll have the whole thing cleaned up and provided. No, next week, I'm sorry. Next week, we'll bring a revised plan for vote on for next week. Yeah, it will start this year. And we'll make sure. Yes, I'm sorry. Was that what you're asking, Councilwoman Messick? Okay, you got it? Okay. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Now we're on D. Madam Clerk.
Letter D, council to consider proposed salary increases for full-time sworn law enforcement officers and probation officers.
Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We just got through arguing about some money, and I hate to come before you to ask for more. But we are finding ourselves at a intersection of bidding wars, per se, for law enforcement throughout the nation. So currently, we are at the lowest tier throughout the county and surrounding counties, as we are about 8,000 below the average salary for the metro area. So I've prepared a packet before you with some of those examples. But recruitment has become extremely difficult, as I stated. And at some point, we have to at least get competitive to recruit a qualified candidate for the city of Jonesboro. That time is pivotal right now. So I would hope your consideration and thought process would go into how critical that is, because you're all citizens and public safety is paramount, not only to the citizens behind us, but to you guys as well. Anybody have any questions related to the proposal?
So can you talk a little bit about how you spoke with the finance director and how I know it's in here, but
Yes. So the funding would come from the employee savings that we've had thus far from the unfilled positions. As you know, we have a number of unfilled positions. So the impact for that would be roughly around $84,581.82 for the current staffing, and approximately $60,217.28 for the future staffing for the unfilled positions.
Can you repeat that last part, Chief?
Be $60,217.28 for the increased for the future staffing.
Mayor.
yes. Councilwoman Messick.
So these are funds you already have within your budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor,
Yes. Councilwoman Curtin.
what is gonna be the effective date for, this increase?
As soon as possible, if it's the council's wishes, because the sooner we can get that requisition recreated and pushed out, we can then start getting those qualified candidates.
So council, we could entertain this for a vote tonight, Attorney Wiley?
To vote on this tonight?
Could we? Or would it have to go to the consent?
You could put it on the consent agenda. Usually, it's up to this body. Usually if something is involving funds or the expenditure of money, I don't know if you want to have that discussion, but it's really up to the will of the board. It's of the council. There's no direct prohibition legally.
We wanna entertain it. We want to entertain a vote for that.
Okay, but can we entertain a vote if we wanted to?
Yes, you can
Okay, that's what I was
entertain
gonna
a
say,
vote.
that's what I thought we did,
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry, yes. If you want, you mean tonight, Council? Yes.
Okay, that's what I was saying, okay, it
Yes,
doesn't have to
ma'am.
go to the consent.
No,
Council,
ma'am.
were there any further discussion? We've spoken with, the finance person, we've talked about it, so I would recommend approval, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So, Mayor.
Mayor.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, Well, can you wait for discussion, let me get the motion out. Yes,
So made.
Second.
any discussion?
Yes. So my only question that I have, and I'm all supportive for the raise for the Jonesboro Police Department, with the 14% increase going to current full staff and the 10% going to probation, roughly how many new recruits do you think we can have here at the city of Jonesboro?
Well, that's really dependent on the number of recruits who are monitoring the portal. There's a number of people who apply already, and they've already stated that they wanted 75,000. We know we can't reach that. In reality, we can't reach that. But the candidates that have put 60, when we called and told them, hey, we see that your application says you want 60, would you be willing to take 52? And they're like, no, because Clayton County will pay me 60. So that's where we are. And we have some candidates who are within the county who are interested in coming to Jonesboro, but they can't take that pay cut either. So I think most of you have met Investigator Gwynn. He came from Stockbridge, but he took a pay cut to do so. But he sees the vision that we have for the police department. He wants to be a part of that. And so part of the vision that I sold him on was what I was going to bring to council. And so thank you. Good question.
Any other discussion? Councilwoman Fox?
Are there any other incentives that you can add to that?
We do have some incentives for hiring bonuses and things like that.
Okay.
So coupled with the salary increase with our hiring bonuses that are still in place, that'll help us compete with, like, City of Atlanta's trying to get everybody with a $10,000 hiring bonus so they can get through FIFA.
What is ours?
Ours is broke down over, you get the first 6 months, then you get it at a year.
Okay.
So ours is broke down a little differently, but then you got, like, ICE is offering 50,000. So we did lose one officer to ICE because they offered a $50,000 hiring bonus, and he's got none of that hiring bonus to my knowledge as of yet.
And we still have the referral fee. Didn't we used to have a $1,000 referral fee?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have a referral fee as well, yeah.
Got a question?
Mayor Pro Tem? I'm sorry, I'm coming down. Councilman Dixon?
Got you. I appreciate the data that you provided for us too. I see Mayor Stockbridge here. Just wanted to give my shout outs to him. But just questions in regards to your benefits, the benefits you was just speaking about.
Yes, sir.
Do we still have the tuition reimbursement is
We do.
covered? Okay, just
Yes, sir.
got you.
We just had one take advantage of that the end of last year
Awesome.
for
And
Clayton
that's
State
eligible.
University.
Come on
Yeah.
now, Lakers.
And that's eligible for, all staff are eligible for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes. No, Mayor Pro Tem?
I guess my question would be, the first one is the impact on our future budget as far as continuing with this. What does that look like? That's just something that we fold in? That's just something we address with the millage rate? That's just something, I know we're doing it now off salary savings, but to make sure we can maintain.
Yes, so when we do our proposed budget for next year, it would include these increases plus the 2%, so it'll automatically tell us that we need, it'll do the math like we usually do. So we'll build our budget with these, so because he reduced staff a little bit, depending on how well this goes, we may consider like, hey, this is really drawing them, then we might want to add things in. I think it's kind of too early to tell. I will tell you that next year's budget needs to reflect a higher minimum wage as well, but we can't take back what would be given, so we would just have to build a budget based on our commitment. So that is a good question. Our commitment to this commits us to building a budget next year that accommodates these, but also knowing that there will be a significant ask for increase in minimum wage and a compensation increase across the board for everyone. Like, this does not include non-post-certified officers. And so, good question, but just know that we have to be committed.
Yeah, and in transparency, my intent's not to fill every position that I have right now. So we're in a rebuilding phase, but we want to rebuild it properly. So it's going to take time to get those candidates that are not only willing to take the pay that we're offering, but also that fit with our agency and within our city. We found out real fast that people that come from other agencies and other jurisdictions don't often fit here because we do things a lot differently as a small town. They're used to never being seen, never being heard of from. So when you see them daily, it kind of puts a little pressure on them. When you actually know them by name, it puts even more. So that's one of the benefits we have as a small town and a small agency, but it's also one of the things that make people think twice about, coming to just try to get our money.
I have another question.
Yeah, can I circle back to that? I want to make sure, council, because I don't want this to be, I am 120% for this. But understand, I want to push this, when we have budget discussions, we have to maintain this. And this also should not limit what we're able to provide across the board for compensation. So, Chief, I'm raising my hand like yes, but also this is one for the team we prioritized, and public safety was at the highest priority, and also not an easy fix, but he made the sacrifices by adjusting some of his personnel. So just keep that in mind when we have conversations about 2 months from now. Go ahead.
And the funds for this, you said we currently possess from salary savings, right?
That's correct.
And so I guess my question would be, to combat the issue that we're having with recruitment, is it something that we can put in place to revisit however quarterly, however much time spans, but if these are the type of savings that we're seeing, and that's just from 2026?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. If these are the type
We
of...
had some from 2025, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it didn't roll.
But if these are the type of savings that we're seeing, then I think if we revisit this in 6 months, 5 months, or we're in April, 4 months, I think that perhaps there's an opportunity to provide some of those larger incentives that the other counties and cities and things like the 10,000, 5,000, that like as a push to rebuild, since we're saving this much money just in 4 months.
Yes.
So I just think that that's something to consider.
I'm
to
all for
assist.
that. I think we should revisit this annually anyway, at the minimum, because as I said, we go up to 60.
Right.
Clayton County is gonna go up to 65.
Because I feel like we just
You know,
approved.
and if we wait 3 years before we address it, then we're behind the 8 ball every time.
Because didn't we just do this last?
Yeah.
2023.
Right.
And let me say this, y'all, because I'm the mama cub that has to oversee for everybody. And Chief is such a team player. If we revisit this in 2 or 3 months, we cannot continue to revisit this, and we're losing other employees too. Again, public safety is utmost, but then we also are losing other good employees for salary compensation. So when I began to ask for incremental raises, as we begin to do our annual reviews and things like that, just keep that in mind.
I think the only thing to that point I would say is, Chief, they already have this money. So as long as I'm always on board for giving people more money, probably to the point that it rubs people the wrong way. But whenever those are asked, as long as I can, for me personally, as long as I can see the pot where it's coming from, I'm always for that. The fact that you all have this already saved, it makes it an easy yes for me.
And also I want us to kind of, and I had to get in the mindset of, it's Chief's money, it's the police department's money, but that saving is also general fund. So if, for example, Chief has $100,000 saving and he uses 50,000 of it for his, that other 50,000 can be reallocated across the whole company because of funding. So I want it, so it's, and I had to shift, like it's not just PD money or public works, you know, that's when we go in and begin to shift across to make it equitable. But Chief is fair, and I appreciate that. We're gonna make sure that he is good, and we're also gonna keep an eye on making sure some other ones are good, so that we can not only retain good employees, but Maria will tell you, she's in that database when we're getting applications for all positions, and what they're asking for is so much higher than what we're offering. Even though we tell them this is what we're offering, they still ask for more. Yes,
All right,
Councilwoman Curran.
I was gonna say, is there any more people that need?
No, anybody down here? No, go ahead.
All right, I make a motion, or can I make a motion?
I thought we made the motion, it's been second, we were in discussion, so I think I can call for the vote. Is there
Okay, cool.
any further discussion? Thank you for reminding me.
Mm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, thank you, Chief. We will work with Mrs. when she comes back in to get adjustments, and that means Maria got a lot of paperwork to
Thank
do.
you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda,
Letter E, council to discuss 5K Runsboro. JYCG, is it?
Yes, Mayor and Council, that's the Runsboro GA 5K. You all do not have this in your packet, but it is in your email. It was sent back at the end of March.
so you want us to find something from end of March?
No.
Can you resend it?
Yeah, that's it. It's coming through.
You resent it to us?
Yeah, it's coming through.
Today? Okay. Can't get nothing for the end of April. I mean, like end of the day. Can you go ahead and speak to it, because I have some questions about that. Go ahead.
Gotcha. So as you all know, Runsboro GA is the Community Wellness Initiative that we established back in 2019, and it's pretty much where we bring people together on Saturdays to walk, run, and reconnect. The Runsboro GA 5K will expand on that effort and making it a citywide event promoting health, unity, and engagement. Chief Cato, Chief Roberts, they're coordinating on our safety plan, our public safety plan. And that email should be coming to you all. You have any questions about it so far?
Yes, so I have some questions about it. 5Ks, typically when we do 5Ks, this is a lot of administrative work. I would ask that as a courtesy, we're given 6 months. I think for the other ones that we get approval for, they start planning like 6 months. This is less than 2 months. Is there any way that we can, and I have asked administratively that we narrow our events to one, during the summertime, one event per month. So I would ask that Runsboro be considered for a fall event, which gives us enough time to plan, but asking us 60 days to administratively plan a 5K is, yeah, like these should be planned like a year in advance. I don't know if we can get the amount of money and funding that is required for us. Chief, do we have to pay the Clayton County police officers, or do they just volunteer?
We do not have to pay them. We will have officers at Lee Street Park, and I spoke with Chief Roberts, who stated that he would offer as much assistance as he could.
Okay, I would just ask administratively for Public Works, and unless y'all can do it without Public Works and any staff, so if you can do it without them, but you're gonna need them for barricades and all of that, that we look at a fall. We just cannot have requests like this less than 60 days.
What would, could you share what the staff requirements would look like for a 5K?
I think we bring all Public Works for barricades and all of that stuff to have to get them and put them back, because I think, Chief, help me with this.
Yes, ma'am. It would take Public Works to gather and prepare all the barricades for the road closure. We provide them with the map. They take everything out and put it on site, set it up, and then I think I disclosed to you it'd be between 18 to 20 officers to cover an event of this size, the same size as the Chairman Turner 5K that we've done in the past. So we have a good plan of how it's done. Just the manpower portion would be what we would need to coordinate.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for that manpower for the staff, is that based on a certain amount of number? Is that based on a certain number? Or it's 200 participants, or it could be 0 participants to 200 participants?
Well, yeah, we have a standard that we use for participants versus officers, but this is just for the intersections and for route safety.
So whether you have 5 people running or 500,
those 18 wouldn't be here.
Correct.
And they wouldn't be at the park. Those would be along the route, and then what we call rosters that go back and forth for route units. So we can't shut the road down, and we have businesses that still are in operation because we didn't have time to notify them. So we have to actually have an officer escort them to their business and get them there safely. And then when they get ready to leave, they encounter another officer, and we get them out of the perimeter. Gotcha. So that no runners are compromised and no pedestrians that are along the side of the road or anything are compromised.
So again, for the administrative support that is needed, I would ask that we have a August or September
Mayor,
5K. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, Councilwoman Messick.
thank you.
Mhm.
So, and also, I know with the 5K coming up, in the past, we definitely, our residents need plenty of notice. because we got complaints about them not realizing they weren't gonna be able to get in their neighborhoods, or get in their own driveways in some situations. So when we're doing these events, they're wonderful, but we do need time to notify, especially on the route. If we can post some signs on the route and let them know this is gonna happen, so that they know it's coming. I think that would be very helpful, so I agree, we do need time to plan these things. That's a big run.
So June, we have our, thank you, Councilman, we have our Juneteenth. 4th of July, we have our America 250. I believe you all have a back-to-school event. And so the August, we have a 5K. The sheriff, did they cancel theirs?
Yes.
Okay, so then we have Saturdays in September open. I think that's a good compromise. I'm opposed to it, but we gotta stop this.
How much time do y'all need to give, to trace Councilwoman Messick's point, as far as time to notify the residents and business owners?
It's not just time, it's staff allocation, it's allocating overtime in certain sections. So we already have an event in June that requires overtime. We have one in July. We have one in August. So this is what early planning does. Like, hey, Mayor, we want to have a 5K. What does that look like? 6 months from now, it would have been fine.
No, and I
So we
think,
could have did it in May. So I don't see why we can't wait and do it in September. Yeah, it's also cutting season in June. So the guys are already working 6, 7. That's June and July is like our busiest month for public works. So that's why I was like, September will just be a little bit better. There's no other events. I'm not getting ready to have these guys doing manual labor 50 to 60 hours a week, especially in June.
Right. And I think the original, thought process behind Runsborough, this has always been, staff is more than welcome to join, not necessarily work, right? So as far as like the labor that the staff would need to do or put in, like what would that look like?
They put down the barricades, they
putting
pick
down
up the
barricades.
barricades. There's still trash that has to be along the route for a 5K, like when they have the cups and stuff like that. So my recommendation, my ask is that we have it in September. We also thought about a shorter route, like we could do Perry, Fayetteville, Smith, and figure out how long it takes to get around that and just have a larger circle. We also thought about, Councilwoman Kearney and I thought about doing something like that, and then it could allow for not just Ronesboro, Bikeboro, Skateboro, like it could just be mobility similar to what they do in Streets Alive in Atlanta, because we're only quarantining a certain area, and then it gets more, because when you do a 5K, you're limited to people that can either run or walk 5K. So those are just some options that we were thinking that would allow us to still have it in June and not have to tax staff. I'm sorry, Kearney, did you have something? Ms. Kearney and Councilwoman Kearney?
Yes, that's what I was trying to, contact you about. So I've been going to a lot of the Atlanta Streets Alive events, and I was thinking we should definitely bring that to Jonesboro, make a Jonesboro Streets Alive. And, we would basically shut down the streets, and I would advise everybody to go. They're doing one in Peachtree on April 19th in Atlanta. So just so y'all can see, what that looks like. But we can have a path specifically for people that want to either run or walk a 5K as well, because the streets will be shut down anyway. But also, unless they just want to run, I don't know how the money aspect will come, because this will be a free event, and it will be vendors along the sides and stuff like that. But if you're interested in that, I just don't know. Are you trying to make money off the 5K? I know usually people try to make money generate some type of revenue from the 5K.
Right, so this 5K will be, of course, free to the public, free to the community. It's not necessarily a money generator, but if you want to receive the medal, if you want to receive your T-shirt, if you want to receive, official timing, then that would be a cost. But anybody can come out and just participate.
Okay. So maybe the Streets Alive event would be better, because if it's just free for them to just run a 5K, and it's more so for, I guess, bragging rights, right?
Because we have to invest.
Military, so bragging rights is always a thing.
Yeah, and I think planning ahead, like we could have done it in May, which is part of the national. I'm glad my counterpart is here from Stockbridge. The Move with the Mayor month, which is not just about the mayor per se, but whole communities on the move. So again, I would ask that we just consider a August day or a modified 5K route that doesn't require us to go all through the neighborhoods. And again, we could do this little circle. And the only street that I think with the most traffic we could do a 1-lane flagger would be Fayetteville, Chief. And then we could do our regular closure, like the Lee Street L that we do for events.
Yes, ma'am. I will say, the sooner we know, the better, because when I was speaking with Chief Roberts, it'll depend on the commitment they have throughout the county as well for that month and what events they have versus the resources that they'll have to allocate for overtime as well.
With the date that we provided for Chief, did he have any questions or concerns with that June 6th date?
I think he was just following back up with his constituents to make sure they didn't already have some things planned as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again.
But he said he would help in any way.
Let's plan it for August.
My goal is to, like
September.
I said, my goal is to really try to get it in before the Peachtree Road Race, 1. 2, I love the Streets Alive. I love it. I know you had mentioned like trying to do April, May, so we can still run it, no question about it. For I think the idea behind Runsboro is that I really wanted to, I guess, back in 2019, the idea was so that someone on Burnside Street could look outside their window at 7:15 in the morning and hear footsteps or people running around their neighborhoods. So we want to expand it and open it up to the entire
They might be
community.
asleep.
Yeah, I know.
I
I mean,
guarantee.
yeah, I get it. But just the idea behind it, just to try to get people looking to see what's going on, and hopefully they'll join the run.
I think they can join it in August.
Well, I'm not opposed to doing another one in August either.
Well, I mean, administratively, it has to be approved, and I'm just saying administratively, it will not be approved for June. For a 5K, Councilman Dixon, this is respect here. Every major event that we're having, this is major, has been planned 12 months ahead of time. You guys can tell me last October, last November, we could have made it on June. There's a number of things that we can do if we collaborate, but coming up 60 days for a 5K, that requires a significant amount of time from another agency, from our agency, is just not plausible. This is what we talk about with department heads and stuff, just last minute requests on large entities. Marcus has already mapped out grass schedules. We talked about this. And like I said, you can't have a 5K without me bringing in all of Public Works. And so I know sometimes it's what we want and I want and you want, but sometimes it's logistically what we need in the city administratively. And so I'm asking in this situation, I don't know of any city that would plan a 5K in 60 days. This is my first time hearing about it. So let's move it to September. We already got one in August. Let's move it to September. It'll be cooler. It won't be growing season. It won't be any of that. It's a nice compromise. I'm not saying don't have it, but we can't have it in June.
And you're saying that based off of the staff, Public Works?
No, I'm saying it based on me as the mayor.
Oh, well, I need a clear understanding of exactly
Oh,
what's
okay,
going
well,
on.
I'm telling you, you have not, it's 60 days is not enough time administratively for me to work with the staff to pull off a significant event such as a 5K. Now you're telling me it's a free 5K, which means we might get all kind of stuff around here. So my compromise was, let's scale it down. That doesn't require as much if you want it in June, and it can be something that is open because it's free. And I think, wasn't it a financial ask or something in here too? No?
Yes, I just sent it to the email.
You sent it, okay.
16.
People plan for 5Ks, like when I was running, like we looked at 5K schedules a year, like 9 months. So now getting it out and getting it for the investment, let's do it right and do it well and do it in September.
What did the route look like that y'all had?
What did the what?
The shortened route that y'all had.
And this was just us thinking, Perry Center, Fayetteville, Smith Street, Lee Street. It's like a larger square. So then you got the inner track of the Lee Street Park. Then you got the outside. We also talked about having a rental company come so people could come rent scooters just for that day. They could bring their scooters in. And it's a time that if people want to skate, if people want to bring their children to bike, it's just the streets are open. And so if we did like a 4-hour block, we could do the first hour could be runners, and then the second hour could be open for cyclists, bikes. You're talking about a whole route. We would have to get with Marta, but even still with that, we got to contact Marta to close streets, DOT to close streets. If we're crossing over the railroad track, we gotta get a railroad. I mean, it's planning, which is why a 5K at minimum would need 6 months planning.
So with these, with this route right here, we're looking to block off these streets?
I don't know, that was just me brainstorming a way to try to preserve your idea without just coming in here saying no. So I really hadn't, I think Ms. Kearney and I, Councilwoman Kearney and I were just trying to think like, hey, what could we get to encompass the same thing that would not require all hands on deck, could be done well, and could be done in June. Because don't forget, because you want to do this, then 2 weeks later we got Juneteenth, then 2 weeks later we got the 4th of July, then we got people taking vacations. Yeah, I plan big scheduled events, and y'all know this, a year in advance.
Would this be this route right here be a less lift for the staff?
I mean, it could once we talk to Chief. I don't know how we would handle Fayetteville Road because we don't usually block all of, do y'all do one lane on Fayetteville? We would still, again, have to convene to see.
Actually, Fayetteville Road at Smith Street all the way down to Care Boulevard would be blocked for that, the original route.
5K, so it's still just blocking that same street area. Is that correct?
Not if you're going around Perry Center and back out.
But it'll be a short distance?
It'll be a short distance. Yeah.
Okay. But you,
We could do it at,
what? Everybody know?
Street and reroute them around that way.
The cars, yes. Yeah, but I was saying that we could use Perry Center as a street and just makes a big lap, and then we have the inner street, the inner walking path of Lee Street.
Yes, because even on the original route, they go around the walking track at Lee Street to finish up. It's kind of like a cool down.
Right.
So you'd have to measure it out to see if there's a particular distance.
Are you trying to do this to where this is because it's too late for them to be seated for the 4th of July, you know that, don't you? So it's no benefit to that. So were you trying to get it timed so they could be seated? It's too late for that.
No, I mean, some people, they want their times, right?
I know, but I'm saying.
Regardless of the Peachtree Road race or whatever, people
Okay, I
want
know
their
you said
times.
before the Peachtree Road race, so I'm asking, why did you want it before the Peachtree Road race?
Because people who are planning to, or who have signed up, they still want their times
I know, but why does it have to be before the Peachtree Road race?
to see where they are.
So have you checked to see what other 5Ks are on that day? Because those true runners for the Peachtree have already signed up all of their races. Because they've had to turn in their ticketed time before. So I don't think that has to be relevant. Okay. Any other discussion?
That's it for me.
All right.
Letter F, council to consider roadway striping on Fayetteville Road, Tower Boulevard to Smith Street for safety improvements.
Marcus Hurd is not here today, but he has it submitted here. This is something that needs to be done. We get complaints and concerns. I think Chief, he said that, do you know anything about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Please. And his recommendation was for the $11,000 quote. And it's over my $10,000 threshold, so.
So while this is one of many areas throughout the city that need to be restriped, this one came upon Mr. Hurd's desk because I was nearly hit head-on by a lady who thought she was on her side of the road when in fact she was on my side of the road. And her defense was she could not see the striping. And I was like, ma'am, you mean to tell me you can't see the point taken? And so I immediately sent an email to Mr. Hurd requesting that we get a quote for that striping to be done immediately.
So council, he'll be out this week, so we can wait and I would like to add it to the consent agenda. Again, he's recommending Wildcat striping, sealing, and paving for $11,000, $11,658. Are you all okay with this going to consent agenda?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Can we add some more streets? Because where the post office is the same thing. I almost got into an accident. There's no lines at all.
I'm
So,
most certain.
The pavement condition survey was going to include a survey, the one that we tabled, and he wanted to be here to speak to that. Part of that survey is going around
Yes.
potholes, striping, and everything, and giving us a complete analysis of the city.
Okay.
And so he'll speak to that next week. Are y'all okay with this going to consent agenda? I'm sorry. Uh-huh. Correct.
Is this SPOS?
No,
SPOS, because it's a capital improvement.
not for the ones that we have. I don't think striping would be, but we have a line item for it. We looked at it for SPOS.
That should be under capital improvement.
No, have you looked at our SPOS? Our SPOS doesn't spell out capital improvement for specific properties. Lee Street Park, it names the properties.
Okay, well, we have a new spots that just got.
Payment for new SPOS has not started. There's a gap year for that. We're still collecting on 2021.
So is this in the budget?
Yes. Just so y'all know, anything that we bring forth for recommendation has already been validated throughout the budget. Thank you, Chief. Are y'all okay with this going to the consent agenda?
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Cole specifically, is he still? Okay. So I remember we were talking to Commissioner Davis. I know this is a little bit, off topic from this specific street, but do we know if we ever verified with him about because there are some roads that are gonna be repaved in the city of Jonesboro, I think over by like Lake Jodico Road. Were we able to get some add-ons with striping in that, like as a part of the county paying for it?
Okay, hold on one second. Does that apply to these streets here?
It could.
It could for these particular ones,
It
okay.
possibly
So
could,
that's what we
yes,
had talked about, okay, perfect.
Possibly, but we would have to go back and talk with the county and coordinate with them, but we have not had that discussion specifically yet.
And so due to the urgency, which is why I asked him to narrow it down to these key streets to get down to this. Anybody else? Are y'all okay with this going to the consent agenda? Anybody opposed to it going to consent agenda? Okay. About this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't wanna put it on the chief if you don't know the question.
But go ask him. I mean, I talked to Marcus about it, so go ahead.
All right, and this is just for this one street, or is it just a couple streets, or, this is?
If you look at, it's
sorry.
Fayetteville Road, so this mainly,
Wait, no, I'm sorry, that was wrong one. I couldn't find I know he's recommending Wildcat, but I see there's two different quotes. There's a $11,658 one, and then a $17,642 one. So I'm trying to understand which is the one.
the 11,000, do you have that email? Thank you, Taylor. I want to make sure I'm coding it right. Yeah. Mayor, on tonight's, under new business F, I recommend Wildcat striping, sealing, and paving in the amount of $11,658.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, and, I see Blackjack has 18,000 on, I'm assuming that's just because it's more expensive, and I couldn't find one for the Crown paving one, so I don't understand what that one is asking for, so I'm just wondering, why did we choose Wildcat? I'm cool with this, if it's because it's the cheapest and best option, I'm just wondering.
I'm sure his professional opinion, he just wrote it and said that council to consider road striping on Fayetteville Road. I recommend Wildcat striping, sealing, and paving in the amount of $11,658.
Okay.
All right, are y'all okay with this going to consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It'll go to the consent. Thank you.
Letter
Next,
G.
I'm sorry, did I miss? Okay, keep feeling like I'm seeing.
Letter G, council to consider releasing a request for proposal for sanitation services.
Did he? Yeah, can I make a motion? Are you going to speak to that? Or did you want to wait till Marcus? Mr. Hurd was back.
I wasn't going to speak to it directly. I was going to add, the only thing I would recommend is not having this on the tax bill, these annual billings on the property tax bills.
Okay. Council, I entertain a motion to table.
Mayor, I make a motion to table until our public works director is present to have a discussion
Thank you.
on item G.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you so much.
Letter H, council to consider a fee waiver for Lee Street Park rental and special event permit for August 29, 2026, 11th Annual Jeffrey E. Turner Fitness 5K Run/Walk for Clayton County Juvenile Court CASA program.
Council, you see the information that's in here. Commissioner Davis is requesting this. Former Chairman Turner has had one for, I think, a number of years and always hosted it at our 5K. It's a fundraiser for the CASA program. I'm asking that we move it to consent agenda. Chief Cato has already begun meeting with them in regard to the logistics. Any questions, council? Can this move to the consent agenda?
Mayor,
Yes.
I just had a couple of questions. I know we did this in the past. and everything goes smoothly, the county does most of it, are they providing most of the security?
Yes.
For this event, and do they handle the cleanup as well?
No, we handle the cleanup.
So the cleanup at the park, we'll handle, but all of the, staffing for the route will be handled primarily by the county.
By the
If
county?
they have someone that calls out sick the day of or something like that, we may fill in a spot like that, or I may fill in, depending on the scheduling. But according to the first meeting we had, and we have another one coming up this week, that everything's on point. Everybody's already knows their places. We've done this 5 years, I think, in a row. I think we had 1 year we didn't, but they already have, that's the plan that we use would be the same one that Councilman Dixon was wanting to use for the Runsboro, because it's just fine tuned. We already know what the route, everybody's positions, what the staffing levels need to be and everything.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor?
Yes.
So besides the fee waiver, there's nothing else that we're, entitled to besides, donating some of our, or having some of our officers, work the event with Clayton County PD, or that's it, right?
And our public works.
All right, well, I would definitely like to recommend, from Clayton County PD, Officer Kearney to work this event as well, if you want to ask him. But yeah, that's all I have.
I
Can
will
this go to
definitely
the-
ask him.
Can this go to the consent agenda? All right, thank you. Next.
Letter I, council to discuss resolution protocol for JYCG.
Yeah, I just forwarded that over to you all as well.
Okay, we can't go, you just gave it to us?
I mean, I gave it to you all in March, but I just re-forwarded it to you also to be at the top.
Why
of
wasn't it in the packet?
Mayor, so we have something we may need to discuss one day. We have deadlines for the agenda packet, but what's happening, things are coming in after the deadline that don't make the packet.
Okay, because I'd like to review it, so can I entertain a motion to table until next Monday so we have opportunity to review?
That's actually what I was going to suggest. I know we're still waiting on some feedback from Attorney Wiley in regards to this.
Okay,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
somebody make that motion?
Motion to table.
Any discussion? Yeah, till next week. And let's make sure that she gets these documents so they can be part of the packet. All in favor?
Aye.
And I
Any
just need to
opposition?
clarify.
wait.
Who
Yes.
made the second?
I guess just for discussion wise, do you have these documents already?
Yes,
Okay.
the email.
I was gonna say, I do have some, unless you want to talk offline.
We tabled it. There's, all in favor?
All right.
Any opposition? Thank you all so much. Next on the agenda?
Mayor, I just need to clarify who made the second.
Who made the
I
second?
made the second.
Okay. All right. Letter J, council to consider approval and adoption of an amendment to the city fence ordinance to update and clarify regulations, including allowable fence heights in side and rear yards. The amendment establishes revised standards designed to enhance privacy, improve security, and maintain neighborhood aesthetics.
Good evening again, Mayor, Council, and citizens of Jonesboro. Before you is a proposed amendment to the city's fence ordinance intended to update and clarify regulations while enhancing privacy, security, and neighborhood aesthetics. Currently, residential rear yard fences are limited to 6 feet, front yard fences 4, and commercial and industrial fences 8 feet. The proposed amendment would allow rear yard fences up to 8 feet, subject to staff review and on-site inspection, while maintaining all safety, material, and visibility standards. It also clarifies rules regarding fence placement, materials, and administrative process, ensuring consistent interpretation and enforcement across the city and allowing us to be proactive rather than reactive in regulating fences. Here we have a visual showing a roughly 6-foot individual between a 6-foot and 8-foot fence, providing a clear visual comparison of the difference in height and the impact on privacy and security. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the proposed amendment. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Council, any questions? Can this go to consent agenda?
Yes.
All right, thank
So
you.
wait.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I have a
Councilman
question.
Kearney, go ahead.
So,
I'm just trying to get a good grasp of what you're asking here. You're asking for it to not exceed 8 feet.
Yes. So right now, only, commercial and industrial, businesses are allowed a max of 8 feet
Okay.
on the rear and side yards. So this wouldn't impact the front yard fence in any way. That would still remain 4 feet in height.
Okay.
And it'll also be an application. Currently, we don't have an application for our fences, but it will be an application with a $25 fee.
Mm-hmm. Mayor Pro Tem?
Let's talk that out a little bit. An application to increase the size, if they 6 feet to 8 feet, that is what they would come and do the application for, and they have to pay us $25.
So the application would just be to put up a fence in general. This way, we're able to regulate it. We're able to look at the materials placement and ensure everything is properly up. And with the 8 foot, if you want to go, so say you have a fence and you want to have an 8 foot fence, staff would be able to administratively review that request and determine whether or not an 8 foot fence would be possible there. But 6 foot is the max just by right.
And this is, I know $25 probably isn't that big of a thing, right? I'm all for giving money away, not necessarily taxing my residents for extra little things, right? Especially because I know I'm going to ask them for a mill increase a little later on. And so is this what other cities do? Is this comparable? Are we just outdated? Or is this unnecessary? Can they do the application without paying a fee?
So right now, I think what it came up to, right now, we're only allowing 6 feet. And so with swimming and different things like that, some insurance policies are requiring 8 feet. So that would require them to come before us and variance and all of that. So we're just switching it to 8 feet, which will cover that standard. The application, because even if they come in for a land disturbance, is how much? Do we charge them for land disturbance?
So, yeah.
You say what?
100 an acre.
$100 an acre, so I think 25 is minimum.
And we want to make sure they actually come in for it, because we did discuss the idea of not having a fee, but then having an application with no fee, would the application be completed? So that's where the fee portion came in for the application.
But, I mean, we don't do it.
Okay, or if they do the application and it's not completed, or you don't adhere to it, now you get fined for not doing the right thing. So, I mean, the money could come if they don't do the right thing. But I mean, I guess I don't have to die on the hill about $25. I just, I'm gonna say just let them do the application and come in. It's already, I don't wanna say a headache. I know we need to do the right thing to make sure that it is all, aligned and that they're following the height requirement and all of that. I just don't wanna make processes more cumbersome than they need to be on residents. But that's just my little tidbit, whatever the will of the council.
Mayor?
Take away the fee?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just asking this question because I'm just looking at the Grove Community Guidelines. So, for number 1 of the general standards of the residential districts, it says fences located within the front yard shall not exceed 4 feet in height. This is gonna sound like a stupid question. Where does the front yard technically start, so I know? Because,
The front drip line, so the front drip line of the home forward will be considered the front yard, and the front drip line back will be considered your side and rear area.
okay, so it might not be a problem, because I was just looking at theirs and it says dimensions, max height shall not exceed 6 feet. Okay, but, all right, I think it doesn't count as a front yard, so I think it's fine. Okay, thank you.
All right, can this go to the consent agenda as proposed?
I guess I'm just curious, what would it look like if we didn't charge that $25 fee?
We would just have to ensure that, they're truly coming in, completing the applications, and we just have record and the supporting documents of the fence.
So the compliance, so fees are to offset the administrative work that goes into that hearing. So if we want to lessen it or something like that, but fees is, because if they're doing it, then at some point, someone will have to go out and verify that it's 8 foot, and that it's 8 feet. So that's why we have it. Like, we have them, don't we have them for like roofs and everything?
Yes, we do require a roof permit.
Yeah, and so I think 25 is nominal. I've seen some cities charge $75 for fencing. I'm like, that's how much the whole fence costs. So I think it's very nominal. And anyone that's putting up a fence, just feel like I don't want to lessen our standards for that. Yeah.
All right, Mayor, I just want to make sure, will people be grandfathered in who aren't in compliance, like, as of?
No, so this isn't about compliance, this is about future use. So if your fence is 7 feet, we're not gonna go tell you, now, if your fence is, if you grandfathered in and you at 8 feet, then this is gonna include you. Nobody should have a 10 foot. So this gives more leniency. This includes, you see what I'm saying? So do 10 feet, you gotta spend 10 feet, 10 feet, whatever. No one has 11, so if somebody had an 11-foot fence, we're not gonna go in and say you gotta lower it to 8. This actually gives residents more options because we were running into people insurance companies that say, if you got a pool, you got this, you gotta be up to 8 feet, but ours is more restrictive. So there's really no need to grandfather. We're not saying if you got 6 feet, move. You can have a 3 feet fence in the back if you want to. There is no minimum. Yeah. And I can tell you that we've had people call in, residents, to talk about fencing that has been erected, to want to ask, because they haven't been pleased as neighbors about the type of fencing that is going up. And so that's why we started this process. Okay. Everybody good? Hearts and mind clear? Can we go to the consent agenda? All right. Okay. Yes.
Item K, council to discuss budget, is it budget book? Councilman Ramesick?
Councilwoman
Is it budget book?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, hold
If
on
we
one
could
second, I'm
Go
so
back just a
sorry.
moment. On the previous item, the city has a current fence ordinance, 86-264. So this ordinance is going to be revising or amending the existing section 86-264.
So it shouldn't go to consent. We should wait till you bring back the ordinance.
Well, Faith has already done it. I think just when we put it on for next week, this is an ordinance to amend an existing ordinance. We're not creating a new ordinance.
Correct, yeah.
We're amending the existing 86-264. I just think for notice purposes. Okay. That's
And I also want to be
just
clear,
housekeeping.
the barbed wire and Rezar fence and double face village, it rolls over to the proposed amendment as well.
She carried it over.
Okay,
Yes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's prohibited,
Okay.
we'll carry that over.
Yeah, she's carried over everything. It's just, I just wanted to say, we're not creating a new ordinance. It's gonna replace and amend 86-264.
Well, will it please the council to, are you still okay if we're going to consent? Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, thank you. Next on the agenda, well, you already called it. Thank you, thank you. Okay, budget, book, yes.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I appreciate the effort that Ms. Karen did getting our budget book done. But this is the budget, but it's not a budget book. So I brought an example.
No, we know exactly what that.
I'm
Boy,
sorry.
Ooh.
Can you
The
speak
budget
into
book
the
is
mic?
just a monthly that you get and adjust. We know she's working on the full budget book. I just wanted to get you all something. So y'all receive that, and I do not like coming up here correcting staff. You all received that last week. If it wasn't sufficient, I clearly ended the email by saying we are to reach out. I understand that you don't have the full binder. There were some things that she needed to correct, but I wanted to get you all a rapid list so that you all can reference that when you get your monthly reports. So I understand, you don't have to show me. I know what a budget book is, and we're working on that.
Okay, that was all I
Yeah,
wanted to discuss.
yeah, and if you had told me that last week, you probably could.
2026 budget
Yeah,
book on
but-
the front.
Point of order.
Yeah,
So I
but
thought this isn't.
Yeah, but here again, you trying to show up staff. All you had to do was call and ask me.
Point of
No,
order.
but you had the opportunity.
Point of
I can't-
order.
Yeah.
Mayor, I was trying.
Yeah, let's go to the next. Council, one thing we did not ask Attorney Wiley, and I don't know if we can, we forgot to add about the grant, and because we're going to be accepting it, do you want to wait till next week? Is it okay?
There's a confidentiality, so you're gonna do it so I think we have to do it.
It's okay to wait.
So
That
we'll
way-
have to wait the next week because the grant.
Okay,
said
perfect.
You can't get over, it was a confidential, they don't want you to steal their thunder. I think whoever's awarding the city's grant.
But it's
they-
okay for me to receive it on
You
Friday
can
without.
receive it, and
Okay.
then the council will accept it.
Perfect, okay.
And I think y'all have the information. Did you, I think we have the, they have the,
Y'all have the
we just
ARMA
can't
grant.
say it, y'all. The grant was awarded, the city got awarded a $125,000 grant,
I
but they
didn't
say
wanna
don't
accept
say
it
where
when
it's
they-
from until you get it. So
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I know we
just have
talked
to
about
wait.
it.
I think y'all have the resolution that we drafted, accepting it.
At this time, council, I entertain a motion to go in executive session for the purposes of personnel matters. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you so very much. How many years? 9. I'll entertain a motion to go into regular session.
So made. What? I said so made.
Second.
Okay, perfect. All in favor? Any opposition? I'll entertain a motion to approve the affidavit and the approved minutes from the executive session. So moved.
So made.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dixon. Any y'all was coming in the thing.
Go ahead. Oh, my bad. I didn't hear him.
Councilman A. Dixon, C. Dixon.
C. Dixon.
And if there's no discussion, all in favor?
All right.
Any opposition? Thank you so much. At this time, I entertain a motion. There's no further business for the council to be heard. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? We're done. I wish you would.